yourselves. Give me a countdown and I'll start the timer whenever you go.
Okay, got it.
Right, good luck, everyone.
I can start right now, right?
Yeah, you're live.
Let's go ahead and intro up. You want to go ahead and start there, Billy, since you're the star?
Hello, my name is Billy. This is gonna be like my second time running for this event. We're gonna be running this game in hardest difficulty, any %. I have been learning this run for like half a year right now. And just try not to spoil my commentators because they haven't played Horizon and Daybreak. Yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say.
Hi there, I'm Cluffer. I've also been running this game probably the past 6 months along with Billy here. And so we're trying to commentary on there. I'm home for a good run for Billy. And thanks, Billy, for the call out on no spoilers. Still trying to work my way through the Trail series. Having a good time with it.
And I'm Deanne, also known as Shinoan, and also be helping out with the commentary. I haven't done the Nightmare run for this game, but I've done a lot of normal difficulty runs. So hopefully we all can enjoy this run together.
Are we starting now?
Yeah, you can do the countdown now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You can start. Alright, prologue.
Alright, so yeah. See here, we start here on normal or nightmare difficulty, which is the highest level difficulty in the game. It's pretty mean. Every fight really does have a chance to kill us, and there's a lot of HP going through on these bosses. So we have to both get our offense very, very high to cheat that HP, and set up appropriate defenses so we don't die, or not let enemies take turns. It's going to be our main approach a lot of the time.
We're also running the game on like turbo, which like speeds up the game by 2 times, and like 6 times on like battle. Like field and battle turbos are like separate, but like battle turbo doesn't really matter too much because most of the animations just get skipped anyway.
Right here into tutorial here with Lloyd and crew. These not our main characters, but they'll all be showing up through the run. But yeah, we immediately see kind of our approach to get through combat, which is that we will be doing kind of 2 things. We need to buff our stats to increase our attack stats, strength, or magic, and then we launch out S-Craft, or the Super Craft, which is the character's most powerful attack. Generally hits all the enemies, does a ton of damage, and we'll just be using those all throughout the run, on pretty much everything. I guess the important thing is, in order to do a super craft, S-Craft, you need 100 of your craft points. You can have up to 200 of those, and we use all of them when you do them. So actually, a lot of this is just about managing those craft points, so we have enough to be able to do these really, really powerful attacks. But yeah, as long as we have the access to those resources, we can get through these fights, even on Nightmare, relatively quickly.
This fight's really hard. Especially that boost.
Yeah, we're coming up to the section here where even the normal enemies have the HP float, so there's a lot of HP to go through. So our technique to get through that one is death float. We're going to try to score instant kill attacks on these upcoming enemies, otherwise we can just stay attacking them for a very long time.
Yeah, if you petrify the enemy, you can guarantee the death blow there.
So the attack we launched there has about a 50% or 30% on this enemy.
Yeah, it depends on the resistance for death blow.
Yeah. Petrify is actually what we ended up hitting there. Petrify will stop the enemy from taking any turns, and then any attack has a chance to shatter it. The ultimate instant kill attack. Death blow. Exact same approach in this fight. There's more enemies of the same type, so we're going to go Death Blow Fishing, trying to get them. Ren there is throwing up her craft that says Death Blow, and then other characters will be trying to do a Petrify attack. Let's see what lands first. Well, we try not to die, because as you see, we do take a lot of damage when enemies attack.
Yeah, there's so much health that you guys just decided to go with Death Blow Fishing on this fight.
Yeah, HP bloat, especially in this early portion of the game, is really real on Nightmare in the field. So we have to find whatever we can do to get through this. Alright, so it took a little while to kill those hits, but they will get them without people dying. Kind of the benefit too is you get to keep attacking and build up your craft points to other characters who might have spent it. So we're going into this tutorial boss fight here with our full craft points so we can launch those S-crafts.
Bit unlucky here with the double confuse on our allies.
So here's another big mechanic of the game is raid orders. The characters in your parties are able to do kind of special abilities to bring up. It doesn't consume their turn, but they get status effects to the party and usually some other benefits. So like accelerate their regeneration turns, which we need to do all these confuses.
So the goal of this fight isn't exactly to defeat the enemies fully, we just need to lower their HP to a certain amount. Like around 70% for like the two support units, and the main one's like I think 50 or something, maybe even 30.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with the characters we have here, 3 of them, or 2 of them are going to hit all characters, but Estelle can actually only hit 1 character, so make sure she's hitting that main target who has the most HP to help us work through all of them. So likely we'll see the last 2 kind of run away around the same time. Yeah, here we go. And with all them running off, that ends the battle, and we've done it. We made it through the prologue. We know how to play most of the game at this point. And yeah, you can see some will just be doing a lot through different boss fights, which is get our appropriate buffs, whatever we have for that fight, to increase our damage, and then just start launching those S-crafts to get through. And again, craft point management is the name of the game there, so we can keep doing these powerful attacks. In that previous fight, we were leading into Ellie's Holy Bullet. Her craft would give craft points to the rest of the team. We'll have a few different abilities like that at points in the game. Otherwise, we'll be depending on items or spells to get back our craft points inside fights. And here's our first section of run around and talk to everyone. This is another thing we do a lot. So kind of whenever we find ourselves in a new location, we're probably going to have to run around that location and talk to everyone and advance all the appropriate story flags.
Can't be a Trails game without talking to a lot of people.
And oh boy, is there a lot of people, especially in this one. This is being Trails of Cold Steel 4, so the 4th one in the Cold Steel series, and 9 in Trails. There's a lot of characters, both who will be joining our party and just people we'll be meeting all throughout the game. So yeah, a lot of running around talking to people. With that, we do have control of Yuna, Kurt, and Altina. These are some of our actual main characters. People will be with us throughout the entirety of the game. And we'll send them into another tutorial dungeon so we can learn some more mechanics here of the game. Kind of the big one being introduced there was the Master Quartz system. Master Quartz are like really big special accessories characters can put on, just one of, but they provide really powerful passive effects. They provide access to different spells or arts in this game. So yeah, setting up those, or choosing the right Master Quartz and putting those on our characters are really where a lot of our power is going to come from to get through these fights. Yeah, otherwise, some fights here, tutorial systems for the game. We're finding out here that Yuna's weapon has multiple modes. so we have to swap it there. We don't use that at all in the speedrun, so we'll swap once because the game forces us, and then never touch that mechanic again.
That's useless. Unless you like erase tags.
Yeah. It does impact how like for attacks and for some for craft work, but again, as we are just launching S crafts, and that one doesn't care about it, doesn't matter to us. The other character here is Randy, the one in the back. This tutorial here was just showing us his Brave Order, Proud Warrior. That's going to be key getting through this first part. We're in Act 1, Part 1 here. It is a Brave Order that gives everyone a large strength buff. When I say large strength buff, buffs come in 3 tiers, small, medium, large. You can stack them up. Each of those is 15%. So when we have a large stat buff on, we're getting 45% increase in damage effectively, which is why it's so important for us to get all these buffs out. That Brave Order is a good way to just immediately get to that full stack of Alright, next boss fight. This one, we have a really simple goal, which is we want to die. So we don't have to win this one, which means our plan is to not win it.
Anticlimactic.
Just a tutorial dungeon, it's okay.
Yeah, one of the fights where it's faster nightmare because you should technically die faster.
Yes, and what we're really hoping to see actually worked out amazingly. We hope to see AoE attacks, and more people getting knocked down simultaneously actually does save us a bit of time because all of their death cries will play kind of over top of each other in parallel, as opposed to one at a time, which actually does pause the fight as someone's dying. So, hurrah! AoE attacks, they happened. Bosses have a little bit of script to their attacks, but there's always some RNG to it, so we'll never exactly know what they're going to do, so we can't fully control these types of things. We're getting more tutorials here. That was the quartz system there. We're required to open up or upgrade a quartz slot. Quartz are where we put in they're kind of like materia. They give us access to passive effects and spells, and we can equip different ones of them. Game makes us upgrade a slot there, so we go ahead and do one for Altina, which we don't actually need until the end of Act 2, so like 2 hours from now, so a little bit planning ahead there on that slot opening, or slot upgrade. But otherwise, yeah, walking around there, we found out about a few other mechanics in the game too. Recipes, or cooking, and fishing. Yeah, we won't be doing either of those in the speedrun. Cool.
Man, no more cooking.
As you expect, we try to do as much as we possibly can. And here we are in our first non-tutorial dungeon. So the way most dungeons are going to work, as you see here, is we just run through them. We'll pick up the treasure that we need as we run through, and then just dodge all of the enemies if we can. You can see the enemies on the map. They move about as fast as we do, so usually we can dodge by them. Mostly it's as you turn a corner, you might run into one, or if they stand in the middle of a hallway, or standing next to something we need to interact with, are the main times we'll get into a battle. Here's our first quartz purchase. So as I mentioned, these are, whatever, like materia-like system. So we bought some passive effect ones here, HP 1, so it's going to just give us extra HP. So hopefully we won't die in the upcoming fight with those. But yeah, they provide access to both passive effects and spells, and so we'll be equipping them for both of those reasons at different points in the run.
Spells don't really matter too much in the run, just more like the passive effects.
Yeah, the spells that we will be using are pretty much actually all support spells, so things that give us those stat buffs, and Chrono Burst, because Chrono Burst is broken.
Yeah, either that or we just get them from the Master Quartzes.
We are picking up a little bit other treasure. Okay, there's kind of 3 things I guess we were concerned about picking up. Sepith, which is that chest we just opened there. That's the thing we use to buy quartz and open or upgrade quartz slots. U-materials. U-materials are an item you basically use to trade in to upgrade equipment. And buy a few other things, some consumables, and then we also pick up consumables. A lot of consumables. Right now, we're actually mostly picking up the consumables to sell them. They sell for a lot of money, like especially the really good ones, elixir-type items sell for a lot of money, and we need that to buy our weapons. We'll want a lot of consumables as we get towards the end of the game. We're going to start burning through a lot of them to get through the fights. But yeah, right now we're just picking them up, selling them, and then buying weapon upgrades. Weapons increase your strength, which makes your attacks hit more. So, like in pretty much every other RPG, weapons are good. Yeah, to chat, the earlier games' arts definitely were a lot stronger. In this set of games, crafts are almost certainly stronger, especially for speedrunning, where we're going to pretty much only be using our S-crafts. So S-crafts, 1, hit for a bunch of damage. 2, an important thing I don't think we mentioned is they also skip turn order. Even if your character's turn is really, really far down the turn order, it doesn't matter, they just really launch it. So between those facts, we really want to lean into them. Also on Nightmare difficulty, doing your most powerful attack works better against the very high defense value things have. So it's just another reason.
The only exception comes in their fear of the very first turn if the enemy goes first.
The only one this fight is, as I'm kind of showing what we're talking about, which is we need to go ahead and get our stats increase, and then we get our powerful Brave Orders. This one's Proud Warrior, which is giving us a 20% damage boost on top of all the other boosts we're getting. Set all that up, launch out our S-crafts to knock them down. Fight's not quite over yet though. We get an extra mechanic here, the summon Mech buddy. We don't use that too much, just when the story requires it. So there it is.
Take 3 seconds there. Yo, Arts.
Alright, thank you, Zero Arts. So, there's turn order there's a lot of mechanics in this game, and we'll be seeing all of them right now, so there's a lot to talk about. Turn order bonuses. So you can see on the left in every battle, all of the characters who are going to get their turn. Randomly, there's turn order bonuses are going to show up, and these can be things like a critical hit, a heal, a 0 arts, which is you can cast an arts with 0 time. You don't have to limit the casting time. Running the game, you have to basically constantly be watching that bar to see which of those are coming up and then try to take advantage of those to get through fights faster. Getting free critical hits can be a really big deal. The enemy getting a critical hit, again, especially in Nightmare mode, might just mean you're dead. So we really do have to watch those. Heals in other fights can also be very bad. If an enemy heals up, we might not have the resources we need to still get through them.
It's exactly why... yeah, go on.
Good thing the enemy doesn't use the 0 arts. Because in Rarity they use it, and then you get one shot on this difficulty. Okay.
Yeah. Thankfully, as the enemies don't optimize for it like we're trying to do, because, yeah, with all the stats they have, if they were playing optimally with those turn order bonuses, we would die.
It's exactly why S-craft spamming is really powerful, because as long as enemies don't get any turns, those turn bonuses, they currently get them.
Yeah, so that's really what we're going to be striving to do, especially as we get deeper into the run and enemies are getting very, very dangerous, is they might get a few turns at the start as we kind of get set up, but once we start attacking them, we don't let them take any more turns, as 1, we don't want them to get those turn order bonuses to make a heal. 2, as they kind of take more damage, some of their more powerful attacks will open up. They'll get like their own special moves. We can't let them touch those. So. Alright, we just unlocked horseback riding while we were in this area, which we just spent a bunch of time running down highways, so this will be good. We can get on a horse and actually move faster, so that's going to help us move around a little bit quicker here. And we'll also be using horses a little bit later in the run for some more techniques. But for now, they just let us move faster, so happy to unlock them.
It's a bit more difficult to control them, but yeah, turbo horsing is fun.
Yeah. Got to avoid slamming into those walls. The horse does not like it. But yeah, Act 1 does just have a lot of running around. We're visiting new locations, so we don't have fast travel points. Fast travel points are something you get when you visit a location. You're just fast travel to it, but we don't have those. The first time we visit a location, we have to run around all of them. So yeah, we're going to spend a fair amount of time just running around here. Yeah, not all characters know how to ride a horse, so some of them will be on the back of the horse, or if you have too many party members, they'll just not be anywhere. But yeah, the game does try to take into account who knows how to ride a horse, and only those characters will be. Cool, so that was just a forced combat we were putting into there. We'll use our old reliable, throw out S-crafts to get through that fight quickly. Again, craft point management though is an issue. We are now zeroed out on our craft points. We were after our last boss battle too, and Billy actually, we didn't mention this, he stopped at the inn and took a rest. Resting at the inn will give you the full restore, importantly noting restoring your craft points. So we'll be using that to get ourselves ready for the next bit of combat. So we just bought some extra quartz there, that's why we had to pick up the Stepith as we were moving through this chapter. Heat Up Quartz is a quartz that will provide craft points inside of battle. We need craft points to keep launching other S-crafts, so we get these spells to let us do that. So here it is, Billy is back to the inn, resting up here to get his craft points, and we'll pick up another character here for the party, Hey Ash, one of our friends from the previous game, and get into a battle with Gilbert. So, that's craft. It's a very, very powerful attack. We like to use that. Downside to an S-craft is they have a very long delay. It's a long time until you get your next turn if you've done an S-craft. We're going to go ahead and cover that with Rest. This Brave Order gives us absolute reflect. Nothing will hit us. So Gilbert is taking a ton of turns here because we are very high delay. So we just reflect everything back. The Brave Order turns on the countdown when we're taking turns. So Gilbert literally can't hit us inside of this fight. At least for this delay portion. And this fight actually can be kind of scary, especially if you get really bad turn order. So turn order we generally refer to at the start of the fight before we get our first turn. If they get way too many attacks in, you're very low, things get very, very iffy quickly. Fortunately, I don't have one turn here. Gilbert still himself can cause problems, particularly if he starts putting poison on the characters. It looks like we've gotten our craft points built back up here after the first round, and so Brave Order and launch it as craft, so we win.
Goodbye, Gilbert.
Thank goodness, yeah, he can be a real big chunk, so we have to get through it.
It's one of the more annoying fights.
Alright. Next fight here, similar to the end of the tutorial dungeon, this is a fight we don't have to win, but we do have to survive it. We have to be alive for 35 minutes. So we're going to be trying to stay alive, but we don't have to actually focus all about doing all damage, so we're just going to be pulling ourselves up and eating up turns.
We also want to spread out as much as possible to avoid AoE attacks from the enemies.
Yeah, so yeah. Game just does have a move command, so usually on your turn just walk somewhere, which a lot of times we're not going to be using, but yes, specifically for this stay alive section, it's really good. Yeah, otherwise we're using a lot of healing items, healing spells, and then occasionally there's some moves that just kind of beat up a lot of turns. We still do have Altina also in the backup character slot, so if all these characters die, we have a slight chance this to stay alive. Okay, S-Craft eating up a turn there, so nice work, Billy. And cool, 35 turns, we're out. Yeah, this is a link attack. They do too many follow-up attacks, so link attack and just destroy it. What a surprise, this is a mech game. For people who didn't know, we need to do mech fights as well. So, mech fighting is with our characters, or mechs here, robots. Sword or rock, paper, scissors, speed, depending on what attack the enemy is doing. They have new body parts, so you need to put the correct body part to make that attack. How the attack, the stance that the enemy is in, and the voice line. With the correct body part, you get follow-up attack, and those are your brave points. You still got brave points, so you can do the big special attacks, the knife attack, which is fine. That's what we're aiming So we are given a handful of items here, so we are able to resurrect Ash there and get runs down.
俺の番だな。チャンスだ。なかなかやるな。な、こんなもんか。
Right, and good, and Unite attack out. Good, nice recovery, Billy. So yeah, again, Nightmare, everything's dangerous. Enemies really can just kill us at any point, as we saw there. But then he was able to recover there with the healing item we had, pick Ash back up. Ash is able to do a lot of our damage in that fight, and clear him out.
Just a quick one, team. Could we reduce the game volume by about 10% if possible? Sorry to jump in. I will leave you to it.
No worries. Thanks for that.
Thanks, team.
Okay, right now?
All right.
Yeah,
that game
just keep going for now. See if it works out.
Cool. So, Hot Springs, just like resting at the end, another way to restore our resources, but it's free, so we'll do that when we can. It actually gives us back all of our resources. So I've mentioned craft points is the big one, brave points is the other one, so we used that in the mech battle to do our night attacks. Brave points are also what led us to our brave orders. Hence, brave in the name.
It is also faster than in resting because in rest have like this melody that has to finish playing before you can continue controlling your character. Most of the time, like the sleeping in the bed or like taking the hot springs, you just can fast forward this scene and it's like really over quickly.
Yep.
going to switch back. Perfect. Okay, give me a countdown and let me know when you want to go again.
3, 2, 1, 0, go.
Yeah, I guess we're back.
All right. Well, big shout out there to Tech Team. Thanks a lot for getting us running again. And here we are into Act 1, Part 2, moving along. So we did our town portion there, a little bit of shopping before we head off to the next section. We were able to now buy mech items. So we got some small upgrades for our mechs, make those mech fights a little easier, and we start being able to buy consumable items for the mech fights. The big important one's probably going to be Brave Stones. So normally we were hitting the enemy to earn ourselves our Brave points there to do our big special attack. Brave Stones are an item we can just use to give ourselves 3 Brave points. We'll want lots and lots and lots of those throughout the run. They are the things that we're going to be spending a lot of our U materials, our U mats on, which is why we're so interested in picking them up at every opportunity. But yeah, otherwise, a lot of Act 1 again is running around. So here's our first kind of run through a giant zone, which thank goodness we have turbo, help us get through that a bit easier. I did mention we unlocked horseback riding last chapter. You have to unlock it in every chapter, which is why we don't have horses again right now. So we'll just have to walk down this highway as well.
Yeah, the horses in previous chapter were on the way, so you might as well grab them.
Yeah, the horses in this chapter actually are basically at the very end of it. We still will be picking them up, but we'll cover that when we hit it. Right, and we hit the first town kind of in the new zone, which means we can do shopping here. We're going to have access to new things we weren't able to buy before, so Billy's going to be picking some of these up. Probably the most important pickup here, and maybe the most important pickup in the game, is this Master Quartz. We're able to buy Minotauros. Minotauros is incredibly powerful. It's the main effect of that Master Quartz is that your attack is going to do, I think it's 60% extra damage, and at this level, Master Quartz actually level up too as we go through the game, so I'll keep going and doing more and more. So it just makes you hit a lot harder. Now, that comes with the downside. Your delay is increased by like 50% as well, so your next turn is going to take a lot longer to come up. But we just are spamming S-crafts over and over again, which S-crafts can also let us skip turn order. So that big downside, Minotauros, the increased delay, we're kind of able to sidestep through our use of S-crafting. So really, we just get a lot of free damage by getting the Minotauros Master Quartz. So yeah, we're going to have that and equip it to almost everyone for almost every fight.
Yeah, it basically becomes a Master Quartz without any downside for us.
I went to the lake right there because we're gonna need that fast travel point later.
Yeah, so if you saw Billy duck into a map and then immediately just leave it, and we'll do that a few times in the run, he's doing that almost certainly because he wants the fast travel point. So we're gonna have to come back there in a minute, and by just stepping into the zone, he gets the fast travel point added to his quick menu. He did also just pick up a quartz there at the chest. That is a Chrono Drive or something. That gives you a little bit of extra speed. We care a lot about the speed stat. It does 2 things. One is it decreases your delay between moves. That's mildly useful for us, but again, for S-craft spamming, not too much. But speed also influences, doesn't guarantee, but influences the turn order. So we're going to be piling up speed on certain characters to get them a little more likely to go early in the battle. We can't control it, but every little bit of help we can get, we do that. So yeah, we're going to be getting a lot of different speed items all throughout the run, and then piling all of those onto 1 or 2 characters.
Yeah, since we're also like running on Nightmare, enemies do have higher speed too, so the chance of going first is a bit lower than like on lower difficulties compared to.
Yeah, and in fact, a lot of battles we won't get the first turn. Fortunately, most enemies, their first attack usually isn't that scary. They'll do like their normal attack or some smaller craft. So we can usually just let that happen and maybe have to like remove a status ailment or something. But yeah, as they get through half of their HP, they get really, really dangerous, so can't let them take turns at that point. We'll also be getting more tools, of course, as we get deeper into the game, access to more characters and more abilities, and we'll be using that to also manipulate the turn order as necessary, because some fights are literally you can't let an enemy take a single turn, so we'll have to be doing extra stuff. Again, we do a lot of running here in Act 1. So, moving through this next highway here. Picking up a little bit of treasure. Consumables, Sepith, mats, those are big hits. Yeah, new materials are, again, the one we're trading in. Those mech items I said we bought at the start of this chapter. That's what we need them for. So we'll be getting new materials from treasure chests. There's also a handful of enemies that drop them, so we'll be trying to also get those, fight those enemies and attack them in specific ways to make them drop those new materials. Drops occur sometimes when you kill the enemy, but if you break the enemy, then those certainly will drop something. We haven't talked about breaking at all yet, have we? There's a lot of mechanics in the game.
Yeah, breaking is a mechanic, but like kind of feels useless in this game because when you break the enemy, it just restores its break gauge.
Yeah, so breaking an enemy, when you break an enemy, they get some extra delay, so their turn gets pushed back. Their next turn, they won't do anything unless many bosses have ways to restore their break gauge, and they'll just kind of come out of the break state, so it doesn't matter too much. It's probably ends up being a little more helpful in mech fights where the extra little bit of delay is needed just to buy us like one more turn. But yeah, occasionally we'll break enemies. Broken enemies take more damage. You get guaranteed follow-up attacks. There's useful stuff. Okay, we did unlock horseback riding here for this chapter. Although we're basically at the end of the chapter, there's just the boss fight left in this next zone, but we are going to go ahead and use those horses. Billy mentioned he picked up a fast travel point. We're using it right here, and we're going to go ahead and use our horses.
I don't know who
You're really
found this out.
impressed that this works here with just the turbo.
Great, so this is coordinate warping. Yep. So this is why we got horseback riding in this chapter, is to do the coordinate warps. You get on the horse with one character, you enter up you enter the menu, you make a different character the party lead. Don't leave the menu, because that will update that character's coordinates, like the game will know where they're standing. So don't leave the menu, just save and load the game. The game will know that new character is the party lead, so attempt to put them on the map. But it has no coordinates for them. So it kind of just gives up and drops them at the 0-0 coordinates of the map, which in this map happens to be out of bounds. So now we can just run past the invisible wall that would stop us from going somewhere. And hey, we're in kind of an endgame zone right now. This is pretty deep into the game. None of the story elements are working here, but all the enemies and importantly all the treasure is still here. So we're opening that up. The really big hit we got here was the Emblem Master Quartz. So that's one, it's kind of high level because it's towards the end game. And Emblem is very, very powerful. It provides us craft point regeneration when we're running around the field, which is huge. It provides us a stat boost at the start of the fight. That's good, useful. And it provides item duplication. If the character wearing it makes the enemy drop an item, it will duplicate it, so we'll get 2 of them. So that's going to help us a lot on picking up all the consumables we're going to need. But yeah, that's our out of bounds here on this game. Let's see, we can do out of bounds in other locations, it's just not useful though, so that's going to be our one out of bounds, and we're doing it just to get that Emblem Master Quartz. We can do it a lot more, but because you still enemies, smoke grenades less, runaway guaranteed. We do have to get to our turn, and again, nightmare means even normal enemies can kill us, so random battles are scary. This bout here. Fortunately, Shirley did not do the thing. Oops.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
So, as usual, we're trying to launch out all of our S-crafts, but if you... Okay, well, survived. You want to do the right characters doing theirs, so that we could do light speed flash here's accelerate. Everyone gets a turn back, so we're trying to keep the character who's current turn was up not to S-Craft, and that was the misclick Billy had there. But we survived to get to the next character's turn, and we're still able to accelerate. Looks like it's recovered. And cool, there we go. Cedric running away as well.
Yeah, basically, Shirley can do move that out positions here, where the S-Crafts cannot reach everyone on the field, making the fight way more annoying to deal with than normally.
But thankfully she didn't, which is good, because with the misclick, being able to at least hit most of the characters with the first round of S-Craft still meant we had enough damage to get through that one. And also she didn't choose to kill all of us, which she can easily do. Alright, next mech fight. So again, we kind of know which stance he's going to go in, or when he's in a stance, we know what body part we need to be hitting, so we're able to go ahead and hit those, build up our brave points, put damage on him, and build ourselves towards the big Unite attack, which does a lot of the damage. This is a longer fight though, so we definitely are interested in healing on up, which is what Billy was doing with the arts there, because we need to make sure our characters do not die. Everyone alive to keep taking this damage. I don't think I mentioned the partner system inside the mech fights here, so you have all your characters piloting the mechs. All your characters who can't pilot the mechs get to be partners, and so they're going to join up with one of the characters in the mech and be able to provide arts backups, so be able to do magic. That's where we're going to get things like stat buffs for our mechs, healing that we saw in this one, stat debuffs on the enemy, or sometimes just a little bit of extra damage. And alright, nicely done, Billy. We are through to Act 1, Part 3 now.
Back to the hot springs.
Alright, no guest characters. We're getting the fast hot springs, so that's always nice. So this is an optional dungeon. We have the ability to come in here kind of every time we come back to this main hub town, the main hub town for Act 1. This is the only time we're going to do it, and we're not even going to go to the end of the dungeon. We're just coming in to pick up a few items. The important one being here, the Chronoburst Quartz. Chronoburst is a very, very powerful arts. When you use it, you get to take 2 turns. And 2 turns is a lot better than 1 turn. So we'll be using that a lot throughout the run. There's everyone's favorite side quest, 2313, named after, well, the options we pick, 2313. Very fast quest to do, gives us a decent chunk of money, and we do need a lot of money in this upcoming section to do all of our shopping, so we'll go ahead and do that one.
Repair bombs what we need.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we get to build our party here. We're going to take Eustace and Laura along. So we have our main kind of new Class 7 characters. We picked up Muse, by the way, towards the end of that chapter. So we have now all new Class 7, old Class 7, the characters from Cold Steel 1 and 2. Are going to be joining various different parts and are generally very powerful characters, so we're going to take advantage of them whenever they show up and are willing to join us. So Eustace and Laura are in here. Both just strong characters in general, so we're happy to have them, but they have some very, very useful brave orders that we're going to take advantage of. Eustace in particular has Noble Rise, which gives us a medium stat buff for all the attacking stats and 20% extra damage. So we don't really have to go through as many hoops now to get our stat buffs up. We can just do a brave order, which doesn't even consume a turn. And then Laura's Valiant Heart is just 60% extra damage. So a ton of extra damage before we launch out all of our S-Crafts. So kind of juggling those, which is what we just did in this fight here, to get both our stat buffs and then our big damage boost, and then we're able to take out this enemy because HP totals, they're getting really, really high already, and they're only going to be climbing. I think I did mention before, the Emblem Master Quartz is one that also lets us duplicate items, so we do try to control for a handful of fights. I don't think that past one was one we cared about anymore, but at some point we did. But a lot of boss fights we do care, so we're going to get whoever's wearing Emblem to try to get that last hit to make the boss character duplicate their drops. A lot of those are consumables. We'll just get more Brave Seeds or Brave Souls. Those are items that give us Brave Points. Or Zerum Powders or Zerum Capsules. Those are items that give us Craft Points. Those are our two big resources we're juggling throughout all these fights. And we've reached a new town. We're in Crossbell now, so you guessed it. Run around and talk to everyone. Or at this
that
point,
guy's really fast.
He turbos too.
Yeah, the delivery guy is faster than us.
You have to get in front of him, catch him on his path. So we're going to be doing some shopping here. One of the things is we're coin collecting. We're picking up all the different coins that are for sale at different points in the game. We picked up one last chapter. There's 2 to get here, and then 1 we'll pick up a bit later in the run. By collecting all the 4 coins, we can then trade those in for the ultimate coin, which is going to be a very useful accessory, providing EP, energy points, things we use to cast arts, and a decent chunk of speed. Right, Billy bought the quartz that we'll need for basically the next chapter, and with that, he can sell the rest of his sepith, which sells for a good chunk of money, so that he can buy the last few things he needs to get in this chapter. But yeah, sepith is normally there for buying quartz and buying, opening up the quartz slots. We buy exactly what we need and nothing else, which means we have a lot of sepith to spare, which is good because we can also sell it for money, which is what we do to solve all of our money issues throughout the run. Yeah, this game plays This game plays a lot faster when you're playing turbo, skipping all of the story, because there's a lot of story, all the animation in battle, and just everything. So yeah, casual play is going to be much longer than our 3.5 hour estimate here. And current world record is 2:54, set here by Billy, of course. Yeah, excellent at doing this run and the other runs he does, and just amazing player these games, able to react really well to what's just going on. Those turn order bonuses, mech fights doing the gross things that they can do. Billy, top player here.
Billy spends a lot of time grinding these games.
Which is also true. Not only an amazing player, you also have to be willing to do the grind too. There's a lot of RNG in these, so even when you're great, you still just have to play a lot of times here to get those good times. The game sometimes will just be mean and kill you despite the fact you're doing the best things. Right, cool. So there's our shopping and Crossbell done. Okay, gaining us access to the next dungeon here under the casino. So, more running around and dodging enemies.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, enemies really can get in our ways, especially this dungeon has a lot of kind of tighter hallways, and so if enemies end up inside of those, or multiple enemies in the same zone, they can really get in our way. And yeah, see there in chat talking about Billy doing a lot of reworking of the routing, but yeah, Izuyoi in chat here is chatting with us, did the entire initial routing here of Nightmare Mode for Quixel 4, so big shout out to him as well. Really got all of us started here on this, so thanks to him. And yes, chat, Trails games really do like ducks. Yuna, on the other hand, really dislikes them. Yeah, exactly.
There has to be someone who doesn't like those in every game.
Yeah. There's a few trends that show up, and that's one of them. Great. So we picked up Yuna here. He's not happy that we're dragging him around, so he'll be complaining a bit. He'd rather stay at home.
I don't think he likes Turbo, man.
Now we make him run really fast. He does not care for it.
なんで僕がリアルでこんな真似を。はいはい。とっとと通った。
I'm too slow. Prevent that dialogue.
へえさすが踊りで鍛えてるだけは
So, Billy's talking about preventing dialogue there, especially in turbo mode, because we're running so fast. Dialogue will trample over each other. If a dialogue line is still playing, the next one might not start, so you can sometimes prevent certain dialogues from occurring or not occurring, which unfortunately sometimes means some really funny ones don't get to happen. Oof, they all got their turns, so that's like an example of a bad turn order. Fortunately, this fight is not the most scary one, so we're alright. And then we just do our usual thing, get those brave orders up and launch out our S-crafts. So yeah, this one's really just kind of a mini boss, not the toughest thing to take down. As we work towards the end of this chapter, we'll get to do the actual boss fight. Alright, with that section done in Crossbell, we're able to exit out to the other side of the city and head down this highway, or one of the other highways. There's like 4 different ways out of Crossbell. But yep, you guessed it, more running down highways. Again, horseback riding is only unlocked per chapter, so we don't have the horses here, so we're going to just have to run down these highways. But hey, at least we have turbo mode to get through a little faster.
Almost there.
Larger, wide open highways are good at least. Enemies are usually not too hard to dodge, although we don't get the same tech we had back in Cold Steel 1, which is really nice, whereas if an enemy saw you, you could just swap which character was in the lead, and the enemy would forget you were on the map. So, that was nice. That was much easier.
Yeah, only downside was every time you switched your movement reset, so you had to accelerate again.
Yeah, so it still was somewhat useful to dodge enemies even in that one.
Yeah, but enemies in Cold Steel 1 overall were much more aggressive.
That's also true, so the balance there of being able to dodge them with that. Alright, highway section done, getting us into our next zone, which means go hit the story beats. There's not too many places to talk to here, so we should finish up the hospital location pretty quickly. But yeah, that cafeteria is both for visitors and hospital staff. Sorry, I've heard these voice lines way too many times. Alright, so in there we were told to head out to the wetlands, so we head back out this way. I'm going to try to move through here, only to very quickly find out we can't go this way. So we're going to head back to the hospital to find an alternate route. Which, thankfully, we have a lot of friends. There's a lot of people in these games, so they're going to help us out there. They give us a boat, and we head over to Michelin. This is the theme park of the game. But we don't have, unfortunately, too much time to play, so we're just going to run around.
Yeah, this inrest is taking a while.
So, yeah, exactly to what the end was mentioning earlier. When we can rest at the hot springs, we like that. It's faster. We don't have to listen to the low melody, watch the black screen, but we don't have access to it here, so we'll just go ahead and use the inn. Billy just picked up a bunch of orange capes, accessories there. Those provide a little bit of extra strength. So at the end of this chapter, we're going to be going to an area that's quite challenging. So we want all those accessories to just give ourselves that little bit of extra damage boost on a bunch of different characters. So Billy will be equipping those in a little bit on a lot of people, just to give everyone a little bit of extra damage there.
Similar to what I did in Reverie.
Yeah.
I bought a lot of attack boots in Reverie.
quickly. So yeah, very similar thing is just those little bits of extra power we need sometimes just to get through kind of the threshold we need to be able to close out fights in whatever the 1-2 rounds of S-crafting.
Well, you guys, at least on controller can run diagonally here.
Oh no!
Meanwhile,
I didn't realize that
keyboard has to zigzag during these sections.
I did not realize that was the thing. So, yeah, controller's nice for that. I don't think we quite mentioned this. The downside to controller is doing the S crafting is we have to open up a sub menu to select that. Keyboard, I think you can put a single character on a button for S crafting. Is that right?
I think this is only starting from Reverie.
Oh, only Reverie.
Or Cold Steel 5. This was a thing in the earlier like Sky games too, like, but they just removed it.
Cool. Which, well, that's too bad it's not in there, because that is useful, because in order actually to do the animation skipping here, so there's the animation skip button, defaults to like start on the controller. We don't actually do that though, because it can be slow, especially on PC. It is incredibly slow, in fact. So in order to skip animations, we put the game into auto battle. For whatever reason, auto battle also skips animations, but does so in a different way, and it's a lot faster. So every time we launch an S-craft, we have to put the game into auto battle, launch another S-craft, or cancel that auto battle, because we don't want our characters to just auto attack or whatever they would do. So we're doing a lot of constantly throwing the game into auto battle and then canceling it back out to skip the animations quickly. Alright, so here's one of our turn orders. We're really hoping that Eustace goes before Lecter, which great he did. If we didn't get this good turn order, we'd see an anti-order. That's the enemies kind of doing their own brave orders. They lock out our brave orders, usually give us some negative effect, and will, in this case, just make the fight go a lot slower. But yeah, if we see anti-orders, we have to take a bunch of turns to clear those out so we can do our own orders again. Lecter's the one who's able to do one there, so we don't want him to go faster than Eustace. And I mentioned speed stacking. That's why we do this. Like the first time we're doing is for this fight here to get Eustace to complete. I think this is our first mech fight with multiple opponents, so we're looking at a little mini mech fight here. Our strategy, though, is still pretty much the same. We hit the correct body parts, get on the stance, build ourselves up to 5 breakpoints, and throw the Unite attack, which importantly will still hit all the characters. So we do our big chunk of damage to the multiple opponents. Billy, there you did see some cover briefly on Muse's craft attack. Sometimes enemies will be in a stance that doesn't actually have a weak point. And so when that occurs, we might actually use a craft instead. Some crafts, like Muse's, has a 90% chance to unbalance. Unbalance is what lets us do the follow-up attack. It's to do the Unite attack. So depending on what enemies are doing, we sometimes have to do, we can hit the weak point if it exists, or we have to do the 90% roll and just hope that works instead. How hard is Ash getting hit here? Ash is almost always the initial target here, and if Rufus, guy we're fighting, does his own follow-up attacks, which Ash can take a lot of damage, and in fact, if the link attacks happen, which they're not guaranteed to, and the damage rolls are high, Ash can die. So we didn't see that, so we're happy.
85% chance Ash will die.
And of course, Billy has run so much, he's seen it happen plenty of times, even with such a low percent chance of occurring. You can see Billy spamming out here Bravestones. So again, Bravestones gives us 3 Brave points, where normally we're only earning Brave points 1 at a time through attacking. So Bravestones really let us get built back up to that 5 Brave points and launch our powerful Unite attacks. Also in there, Billy was balancing who's doing the Unite attack. Partner characters can provide us the stat buffs. Only some partner characters have stat buffs that raise attack stats, so we need to get the characters who have a partner who can raise their attack stat to be the one who launches the Unite attack when they have a stat buff up to maximize their damage. There's actually a lot going on in that fight, which it might be hard to follow as Billy's just turboing through it incredibly quickly, but he's balancing a lot of things to get through that. And the guest character. And so that's what we were mentioning. Sometimes resting at the hot springs is not going to be faster because a guest character will decide to show up and we cannot then skip it. But hey, we can still turbo, so we get through it pretty fast. Cool. So here's
Gets
on
an
all those
orange cape.
accessories. So orange capes for you, orange capes for you, orange capes for everyone, except Altina. Altina gets coins. Coins provide us a decent amount of extra speed and EP energy points, the things we're going to use to cast arts. And as usual, our favorite arts is Chrono Burst. We'll see that a fair bit in this upcoming dungeon. So this upcoming, we're actually doing a lot of menuing here, because as you can see, we have an extremely large party at this point. There's a lot of characters here. And in this upcoming dungeon, we're going to have to use almost all of them. Or almost all of them. I don't think Elliot ever helps. Sorry, Elliot. Because we're going to form 2 parties of characters who will go through each of their own sections of the dungeon. And then at the end, a big gauntlet of fights where we're going to have to do a lot of different boss battles with different parties. So we're setting up all of these characters to be ready for that. And hey, we found Reen again. Reen, our protagonist of Let's Deal 1, 2, and 3. He's back here, although he's had better days than today. But he'll be doing his own section of this dungeon as well, backed up here by Celine, who you might remember also from the earlier Cold Steel game.
Yeah, that's a cat, by the way.
Yeah, Celine the cat. You can tell by looking at her, right?
Yeah. Don't get confused by a human form.
That's a cat. So here's our first party. Just going to be doing right through the dungeon. There's actually quite a lot of good treasure here, so we'll be stopping to pick that up. Our consumables, we actually are interested here in getting some of the quartz as well. This is kind of the tier 3 quartz, which is going to be the top level quartz for a long time. There is slightly better quartz, tier 4 stuff, but that really doesn't show up until almost the end of the game. So we're picking up this tier 3 stuff, so like break 3, action 3, attack 3, as it's going to be the best in slot for a long time.
アガートラムやクラウソラスに似た機体がいっぱい。
戦術核の研究エリアといったところでしょうか。
But just have to run through these. Once we reach the end of this section, we'll get 2 kind of mini boss fights to get done. Being done with 2 different parties, which again is why Billy had to set up so many different characters. So this party has Eustace. Eustace is great because he knows Noble Rise, his Brave Order, so we just do that, get all of our stat boosts, and then just launch S-Crafts. Gaius, I believe, has Emblem on here, so we end with him to do the duplication of items. Pretty sure that's you, Matt. This fight, we don't have Eustace, so our Brave Orders are not as great as it could be, so we're going to have to do stat buffs the old way. Casting a lot for it there with Fee. But Valiant Hearts is also very strong, 60% extra damage, so with those stat boosts out, we'll throw out our damage. We did weave in there Elisa's craft of her Orbital Gear, which does a lot of good damage. So it's not quite an S-Craft level of damage, but it's close. So we'll weave that into a handful of fights to actually get ourselves some extra damage. And then otherwise with Reen in control here, running around picking up some more treasure.
We used to cook here back then. Now we don't need to.
Yeah, actually very good call-up. This is the dungeon where Emblem's really starting to prove to be useful. Emblem, I think I said this when I picked it up, provides passive regeneration of craft points while we're just running around here on the field. We're going to do a lot of boss fights throughout this, which we use all of our craft points in. We throw Emblem on characters so that when we're running around up to the next boss fight, we can get all those craft points back and be ready for the next one. Without Emblem, you'd have to do cooking instead, make food that restores your craft points. Emblem much nicer, so thank goodness for ability to balance.
Yeah, our characters are now more healthy because they don't overeat.
That's how we keep speed high.
Yep.
So Reen is basically our damage carry for this fight. He's in his demon mode, so he gets this increased strength at all points in time. So we're gonna have him do 2 powerful craft attacks into his S-Craft, which hopefully will break these characters, which it did do, and then everyone else can clean up once they're broken. If you miss those breaks, that fight gets gnarly. It's not good. So thankfully we saw the breaks.
だがよかった。教官たちが無事でいてくれた。
Yeah, Reen is pretty strong, so we'll usually see it, especially his non-S crafts we were doing there, the Helix. It has a good chance of doing criticals, and one of those scoring critical will almost certainly get us the damage we need. Yeah, all these quartz here we're picking up. We'll actually be using a lot of them in fact quite shortly in upcoming fights in this chapter and the next one. But yeah, this is all that tier 3 quartz, which yeah, we'll be using those pretty much to the end of the game. So yeah, a lot of very, very useful treasure in here. Alright, we need some more money because we're going to do a little more shopping, which is a lot of weapons. We need weapons because, again, a lot of characters are going to be contributing in these next fights. So we need everyone to just get that little bit of extra power they get from upgrading their weapon. So we're buying weapons for almost basically all of our physical fighters. Anyone who does physical attacks, strength-based attacks benefits from getting that weapon upgrade. There are a handful of mage-type characters, more magic casters. They don't really care about their weapon. It gives them a very, very small boost to upgrade that, so we don't really care about them. A lot of the magic casters are also usually more support-oriented. Not all of them, some of them are offensive magic users, but a lot of them are also more support. So in fact, in particular, characters who are more support-oriented will have like support S-crafts, which means they don't do damage, they do some some beneficial effect. So those characters often just don't make it into the party, or if they do, they won't obviously be using their S-craft, since that would be providing like healing or something, which isn't going to help us. So you can see Billy here's doing a lot of juggling of Master Quartz. He threw those emblems on when we went to go run around, and then he, just before entering the boss battle, swaps the emblem back out for Minotauros, which is where all of our damage is. Because, oh boy, if you forget to do that swap, the boss fight's going to go real, real bad, because you are missing like half your damage. This party here with Reen, so Reen actually has mainly guest characters with him. You can't change guest characters' quartz, so actually only Reen can put on emblem here, so he's the only one whose craft points we can restore, which is another reason we kind of leaned on him in that last fight to do almost all of the damage. He's the only one who can get all his resources back easily. And remember guest characters, that's going to come up again later in the run. There we go. And so getting ready for the boss fight, Billy will swap back to the actual attack quartz. And here's our gauntlet. We have a lot of fights to get through with all these different parties. Our first team here, we're going to be getting those stat boosts necessary. So Lockport will raise our strength. Saintly Force being cast on Lisa because Lisa's a magic user, so she needs that to get her magic stat up. And with all that done, we can do Valiant Hearts for good damage. Emma, she doesn't do an attack as craft, so we're going to have her instead become the craft point battery for the rest of the team. So she's going to Chrono Burst, gain 2 turns, do her craft, give everyone else craft points, and then with the second turn from Chrono Burst, she'll Chrono Burst again for 2 more turns, and then give craft points to everyone. So effectively, as long as Emma has resources, we have infinite turns. And we like infinite turns because enemies taking turns is scary. This battle has uses for Noble Rise, and importantly also, Gaius, we didn't talk about this, his S-Craft does something called Absolute Delay. Delay makes your turn come later, you get delayed. Absolute Delay ignores delay resistance, which almost all bosses have, so they will not get delayed or get delayed very infrequently. Gaius doesn't care. Gaius will delay everyone, So he can basically push them down the turn order, give other characters chances to do more things, generally give Gaius more craft points, so Gaius can delay them again. Alright, we're fighting McBurn Enhanced real fast there. Okay, I guess that's its opening. McBurn is enhanced. Enhanced characters take half damage, but are easier to break. They also tend to do very scary attacks, which is what McBurn just did there. So we wanted to immediately bring up our Midnight Onyx Brave Order, take the half damage Brave Order, otherwise he does way too much damage to us. So we get some safety out first, even though it's enhanced. Then we build up our damage. He's taking half damage while he's enhanced, so we're actually just trying to break him right now, which we just do through doing damage. But once he gets broken, then he'll get pushed out of his enhanced stand, and we can do the rest of the damage to him again. So in order to break him out of that, Billy just did the Unite attack, which we generally don't do with characters, because it uses 5 break points, which we like to use in break orders. But it does 900% break damage, or something like that, a ton of break damage, which lets us just force McBurn out of the enhanced stand really quickly. With him out of that, we just need to get a little more damage here to clean up. He's being a jerk, though. Yeah, this bite's bad. Okay, good. We pushed him out.
I could use a jam with you, but
Well done, Billy, because that fight can go off the rails. McBurn is a very, very scary character. Alright, we're on to this fight here. We're going to see a lot of the similar type stuff, which is we're going to get our buffs going. We do have to survive these early attacks here, so that's what Billy got free Evan Crest, so we'll be invincible. We'll get our stats buffed up, and then Altina is going to do her Emma impression and become a craft point battery for the rest of the team. Otherwise, enjoy the song, I guess.
Chronoburst.
Chronoburst is a very, very broken ability.
Yep. Every new game, they try to like balance it out, but the players just keep finding new ways to abuse it.
It is worth noting, it is very expensive in the EP costs, but we did give advantage of Art Celebration. We use Ace Brave Order there to greatly reduce the cost of doing it. So we did have enough resources there for all teams to be able to just spam like this. And see their Art Celebration provides EP cost minus 80%. So typically very, very high cost of Chrono Burst is brought down to almost nothing, and infinite turns here for all teams. Alright, and we're through that. One more fight to go in this gauntlet. We're almost to the end. So this fight we don't actually have to win, but it is faster in this case to win, so we're going to go for that. You don't have to kill either of these characters, but if you get one of them down to a low enough point, they'll run away, so we're focusing on the one who has the less HP here. And we make use of Yuna's ability to accelerate the rest of the characters, get them a bonus turn. So we launch out some crafts, which have those very high delays, but then Yuna will accelerate everyone to bring them back to the top of the turn order, swap out for some other characters who will then do the rest craft. Including multiple from Reen, because Reen gets a passive stat boost here, so he's just doing a lot of damage, and there we go, we piled it on and forced one of the characters out. And with that, we are finished Act 1. Well done, Billy. There's a lot of tricky fights in there. We don't have a lot of our tools available in Act 1, so a lot of those fights can go off the rails, but Billy is expertly navigating his way through them. And our reward, of course, for finishing all of Act 1 is a run around, talk to everyone section, our favorite.
Wait, it's not Ring Cold Steel? You finally get to control Ring after like the whole Act 1 without him.
Yep. He's back, our main protagonist, and he'll be our party lead here for like the rest of the game. Which is fine. Rin's quite a powerful character. Has good S-crafts, does a good amount of damage. So yeah, he's a fun addition to the team. We'll also be learning shortly in a tutorial upcoming. Yeah, we're through all of Act 1. We're about to get another tutorial battle here telling us about Rin's demon mode, which is useful as well. So we'll make use of that. But yes, Rin does indeed go burr, although there's definitely some other characters who will be doing more damage depending on where we are in the game. So you'll see us swapping people around and setting up different characters depending on what tools we have access to. So buying a little bit more mech items there. We have a pretty challenging mech fight coming up shortly, so we want to have the right tools for that one. Oh, by the way, this is our airship we'll be using through all of Act 2. Yeah, good call it. Rin will also be earning us a lost Sepith, which is what we're going to need for money later on, although that'll become available closer to halfway through Act 2, but we'll call it out when we get the key item for that. But anyway, as usual, we'll just go ahead and do a bunch of our equipment setting up here. New Class 7 is mostly pushed out of the party at this point. Old Class 7 is, in general, just stronger, more powerful S-crafts, better Brave Orders, so we're going to use them when we're given the opportunity to. So we're going to take all the quartz off of Old Class 7, set up some new Class 7, and set up some Old Class 7 characters. And here we learn about Demon Unchained. So this is Rin's new ability here. He gets 3 turns in a more powerful form. He gets a stat boost, so strength and stuff goes up, and access, importantly, to a more powerful S-craft. So if S-crafts have rankings like 3S, 4S, 5S, just how strong they are, that gets Rin's upgraded. It just is like how powerful they are, how much of your strength they're going to use. So like 300%, 350% of your strength. So getting those upgraded just means he's going to hit harder. Also, just the way the damage calculations are, those percents are very early in the formula, so they're multiplied by everything else. Like our Minotauros doing 80% more damage here gets all of that multiplied. So the 20% increase for going up 1 level in your S-craft is actually quite noticeable when all the other multipliers are piled on top.
Yeah, Rin's demon farm becomes useful to use it as long as you S-craft more than once.
Yeah, because it's worth noting it does use 100 craft points to enter it, and doing your S-craft at 200 craft points does do more damage, but if you're able to do multiple S-crafts, then it's worse than the first 100. That's our usual way to get through fights, is by doing multiple. Okay, so we did get a critical there. This is one of the fights we do care about getting duplication items on, so we want guys with emblem to hit the right people. I think I saw a critical in the turn order there, so our damage numbers might be a little not exactly where we expect them, so hopefully we can still line up getting the kill appropriately here. Yeah, Emma doing her craft point battery job again, keeping everyone topped up here and launching out S-crafts.
You got all the duplications.
Alright, thank goodness. So yeah, we kind of have plans for these fights on who does their attacks in what order, so the damage lines up and we get our duplications, having whoever has emblem, usually Gaius, get the attack in. Criticals sometimes can actually are bad for us. They'll throw a wrench in those plans and we won't know exactly where we are in those damage numbers. So sometimes we actually hope to not see the criticals for that reason, but Billy was able to work it out and still get the duplicates. Alright, the Ordained Divine Mech fight. This one is, so it's a one-on-one mech fight, which can be a little tricky, although there is the one benefit to that is we always know who he's going to attack in a one-on-one fight. So we're going to use that to our advantage here as we get a little deeper in the fight to start spamming a move here. And Rin has Morning Moon. Morning Moon lets him dodge any attack that comes his way. He's the only target he's going to be attacked, so we can just dodge all of Ordain's attacks here and get a counter attack. we're not guaranteed to get the follow-up. It's something like 30% chance to get the follow-up, so we're not getting as many brave points. So our damage numbers are a lot lower by doing this strategy, but we're incredibly safe. As long as we have the resources to keep doing Young Moon, we will not get hit, so we won't die. But we're not getting those counter-attack, link attacks, so our brave points are not building. Which, again, it's safe, but it's slow if we don't see those.
Yeah, this strat surprised me because, like, I thought I forgot how difficult this fight is even on normal, so on Nightmare I didn't expect just Morning Moon all the way.
Which, you can get through this fight without doing the Morning Moon, but it becomes a lot more iffy and easy to go off the rails.
Yeah,
so just consistency, we do Morning Moon spam.
Yeah, if Ardeen ends up unbalancing you more often, then yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, we just end up dead. You can get stuck in a cycle of just trying to repair. We also generally had to buy extra repair stones, the repair item for mech fights, to be able to survive this fight. So, it just made sense to do the more consistent, usually a bit slower, unless you get lucky on those counterattacks. But overall, it just seems to be the safer thing. We just want to get through that fight. It's not fun to have a run killer an hour into the run, so we did what we could to make it safer. And I say that knowing there's a lot of still tricky mech fights even deeper in the run. The mech fights can be quite punishing. Alright, with that done, the characters we just fought against, Crow and Duvalie, have joined our party. So welcome to the party. Duvalie is immediately at it here. We're going to be using her. She has very powerful S-craft in this upcoming fight, as well as the quartz she comes equipped with are useful. Namely, she has Chrono Burst, and we love Chrono Burst. Otherwise, we have to finish. We were given a few quests. We have to finish one of them, so that's what Billy's doing here. So let's go. And just running around this map, picking up the necessary items to finish up the quest.
Time for the biggest horse enemy. The stairs.
Just no way to get those. So.
Getting Linion's Kiss, Lost Arts, pretty powerful arts in the game. It helps him restore the CP back.
Yeah, so this is actually an optional battle to do here, but it has that incredible reward that Billy was talking about, Leanne's Kiss and the Lost Arts. So we're going to go ahead and do this. It's a somewhat challenging boss battle here, just because the reward was so good, and part of the reason why we brought it on Duvalie. In order to get through this, we'll have to have Reen get into his even mode, get over to Duvalie's turn again, which... yeah, this looks fine, right, Billy? Yeah, okay. Alright, cool. So, we have Reen in his powerful mode, we have Duvalie Chrono Burst, so when she does her S-Craft, she'll still get another turn. We then enter Valiant Hearts, Laura's Brave Quarter, which gives 6% damage for only 4 turns, but we have all 4 characters set up to launch their S-Craft out. They all do that, doing lots and lots of damage. Duvalie still has a turn, because Chrono Burst is broken, so we swap out for Emma, and do our crafting battery thing to get another set of S-Crafts out, and launch those out to hopefully kill the enemy here. We're actually doing each of Emma's crafts restore 30 craft points, which brings us up to 92, because we got 2 from doing our S-Craft itself. And then we do Raging Fire, Green's Brave Order, which gives us, I think, exactly 8, or is it 10 craft points? Anyway, just enough to give us over that 100, and we can go ahead and launch another S-Craft and clean on up.
I focus.
So, thank you.
I assume the duping on this fight doesn't matter.
It does not. I think it's a Brave Seed, and we're okay if we miss that. So yeah, it's not a critical one, that's for sure. There's a lot of them which are nice to hit for a little bit of safety items, but not particularly cool. So yeah, we just got a very powerful Lost Arts Quartz. Lost Arts are arts you can only use it once in the battle, and it costs all of your EP. Although it is impacted by EP reductions, like EP cut. So so we're able to make it not take all of our EP by putting on the right equipment. But this one is great. It provides all the stat boosts, so buffs all stats. It provides critically 200 craft points. So we can have our characters launch out their S-crafts, have our other character, it's going to be Laura, who's wearing this through the entirety of the game, cast it, get ourselves back 200 craft points, and just launch all of our S-crafts again. So, yeah, going to be really, really useful, that's critical at this point. So even back in Fragments, HP totals have pretty much doubled against boss this one from the previous portion. So the fights were already being pretty challenging to eat through all that HP. Being able to launch 2 full rounds of S-crafts is pretty much necessary at the HP totals we're starting to hit here. Yeah, the HP bloat has gotten quite real. So things will get faster now. We won't have to do things like Emma spamming a bunch of turns to do multiple S-crafts. We can now just go ahead and do a single cast, Lemon's Kiss, and get the 200 craft points immediately and go. Chat asking about a full party chrono drive. I think for the most part we don't do full party chrono anything. We generally are just doing S-crafts on 3 of the characters and then having 1 support character who will just set everyone else up, able to do all of their S-crafts again. Yeah, even Machias gets used. I think we really do actually end up using every single character except Elliot. I think that's correct. So, yeah, again,
I assume, yeah. He's just a full healer. He doesn't really do much.
Exactly. He's fully zapped to be healing, so we just don't have great use for him. Billy just bought rider jackets there. That's armor that provides 10 speeds, the most speed in the armor slot. So we put that on the characters we kind of care about going fast, which was Reen, Laura, and Fee. And that'll be their armor for the rest of the game because we'll never get more speed. The defense stat isn't very useful, so we don't generally care too much about our armor. Just the way the damage calculations are set up, defense just doesn't do a lot. Unless you can really stack a ton of it, which is just not worth doing.
As long as you survive 1 attack, you're fine.
Exactly, especially with our setup, where we really only have to live through 1 attack. We picked up our last coin there, or should be our last coin. Yep, great. We had all of them, so we trade that in for the platinum coin. Very powerful accessory. It gives us a lot of EP, energy points, for doing spells, and a good chunk of speed. So we put that on Laura. We're really hoping to see Laura's turn early in these upcoming fights. That enemy was too close to the chest, so you saw Billy look at it, and then just bail on it, because if an enemy is on top of a chest, you can't actually open it up, and that one wasn't critical enough to have to push the enemy away from it. Yeah, a lot of it's just kind of micro decisions you need to make as you're running through here. But yeah, we're basically setting up Laura here to be our support for the rest of the game. She's going to make sure all the other characters are able to keep launching their S-crafts as we need them. Which is an interesting role for Laura, because she herself is usually more considered to be a damage dealer. She has very powerful S-craft and things like that. But her quartz setup is the right colors to do this, and she's just available for party in all the situations we need her. So, alright. So that enemy was again close to a thing we needed to hit, but we wanted to hit, actually get to this one, so Billy was willing to just push the enemy out of the way, so he entered the battle using his assault attack. Which guarantees he goes first, so then he's able to just run away.
Normally I just skip it. I'm like going for time. I guess.
A little bit more safety for Marathon, so. Yeah, so there certainly are a handful of chests that are easy to get, but not needed, and so if an enemy's in front of them, we'll just skip them. But otherwise, we'll get them. Right. So here we can see we're going to go ahead and launch all S-Cross on everyone except Laura, which will be very common, and then have Laura use the Kiss spell to restore everyone's craft points back. In fact, we're not going to even use them for this battle, we just restore them back so that they're ready for the next fight. So just lower that up, we get a little mini mech battle here. This one's against just some smaller enemies, so it's not too complicated one. It's Nightmare. They still can cause us problems, because everything causes problems in Nightmare, but for the most part, this one's usually alright. We just need to, hopefully, they can enter stances where they don't have a guaranteed weak point. It's a star system. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 guarantees the follow-up attack. 3 stars, you'll usually get it, but it's not guaranteed. So we're looking to see if we can hit 4-star locations or not.
Basically, each star is 25% chance.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yep.
Alright.
So 3 stars would be 75, so if you use something like craft at 90%, then the craft is better.
Yeah. So we saw an anti-order there, so one of the characters got a turn who had an anti-order, which means we can't do our own brave orders, and we need our brave orders for damage. So Billy went ahead and used Chrono Burst, because Chrono Burst is broken, to just take a bunch of extra turns to chew through the turn orders on the anti-order, get out his own brave order here, Chaos Raven for 20% bonus damage, and then S-Craft spam as usual. So that's a turn order bonus is really, or turn order can matter a lot for how fast we get through a fight. That anti-order wasn't dangerous, but just eats up time to clear it out. So. And with that, we are done Act 2, Part 1, and on to Act 2, Part 2. So at the start of each of these chapters in Act 2, we're going to get a handful of quests. You generally have to do, I think, one of them to be allowed to progress on to the main mission of that part. So the mission we selected here is a just run around and talk to people one. So Billy's just going to be using all of his fast travel menus to get places really quickly, talk to whoever he has to talk to, and this will clean up the quest now. He's done. It's quite quick. And with that, Toa will go ahead and give us a call, letting us know we're ready to go on to the main mission. So thanks, Toa. Oh, we just rescued Toa, by the way.
Totally normal for a nun to pilot the ship.
It's not like there's a dog driving it.
Hey, there might be one in the future. You never know. We have a cat in the game, so... Alright, so we're back to one of the towns we were previously in. We're going to run around, talk to people as usual. So I think Billy does shopping here. Yep. So he's going to buy a handful of items here that give us the strength boost on item. So we'll need that in a later part of the run to be able to give everyone the strength boost. That's if we don't... It's much faster to use an item to cast a spell, and if we don't have access to, say, a brave order that does that, then food's our next best way to get to it. So yeah, buy a pile of the strength-enhancing food for later fights. Yeah, so I guess we don't do any cooking. We still do use food in this one. We just don't cook any of it ourselves. Alright, so we brought Fee along to this chapter, but she's going to bail on us right now, so she's out, so we'll set up the rest of the party instead. Angie, who we just fought in the previous chapter, is now in our team. We'll be making good use of her. She has a powerful S-Craft, and also importantly, she brings her own Emblem Master Quartz. So we have 2 of them now. Emblem lets us duplicate items with the character who does last hit. So as we go through this dungeon here, we get a whole bunch of small combats we need to do. They're not terribly challenging, but they have lots of enemies. We're really going to be trying to line those up to duplicate items from certain ones of those, certain enemies, because they are dropping new materials, and we need a ton of new materials. As you can see there, we're doing the Brave Order Crimson Break, which provides a lot of extra break damage. When the enemy is broken, they are guaranteed to drop one of the items that they can drop. These enemies, I think, only drop the one item. I might be wrong on that. Some enemies have 2 items they can drop, so it's kind of a coin flip which one they drop.
I saw Billy pause there a second before entering this battle. That's waiting for Emblem to restore enough craft points, so he enters this with enough to do the S-crafts. Angie did bring her own emblem, but it is lower level than ours, so it actually restores her craft points slightly slower. So Reen was ready to go, but Angie was not.
これは狭いな。
Win has the true gladiator headband, so he regens CP faster. Why?
Great. Also, the accessories here are getting us even faster restoration of craft points. So yeah, a lot of different equipment. We have the Master Quartz, our accessories, and our normal quartz as all different things we can equip in different combinations. In fact, you put on a Master Quartz and a Sub-Master Quartz, so there's a lot of different things we can be kind of piling up together to really get builds coming together to give us a lot of power.
So far, the Yuma's materials are good. It drops.
Nice, good. So the materials, again, really important. We're mainly going to turn those into Brave Stones, which we need to get through the mech fights, especially the late game mech fights. We just need to be getting those Brave points so we can launch our very, very powerful attacks, as that's going to be where all of our damage is going to come from. And those mech battles get really dangerous really quickly, so being able to get through them as fast as possible is going to be critical. Again, enemy too close to the thing we need to interact with, so Billy will just get into a battle with them, clear them out. When you run away, they disappear from the map, and you just continue on with what you're doing. So our partners here are Laura and Kurt. They both provide a support spell that provides the strength buff, which is really, really useful. So that's how we're going to get good damage for our Ignite attacks. So you'll see Laura and Kurt that being like some of our main mech partners we bring in. And so Billy able to hit a 4-star location there, guaranteeing his follow-up attack, so you get that Unite attack out. If not, Reen does have a craft that does a 90% unbalanced chance, so we do have a backup plan if they're in the wrong stance, but 100% better than 90%, so we do that when we can. Yeah, and lots of bosses fight follow sort of a script, even in mech battles, but not 100% of the script. They'll choose different moves sometimes, so they're not always going to be in the stance we want them in. And there you see the enemy in too small of a hallway, so we have no way to get past them. Unfortunately, he was facing away, so we just walk to his back and run away.
He just was sleeping there.
That's where he decided to break. Enemies will chase you if they see you. So that enemy, the first time we ran through that room, chased us to the doorway and then stopped. Alright. So, this boss battle, we have Tita as a guest character, and Tita has an incredible Brave Order, Blast Force. Blast Force gives us the strength buff, which is great, and 40% damage boost for 4 turns. So it's like a really, really powerful Brave Order, so we're happy to use that whenever we have access to it. And so that just means we're doing a ton of damage, as you can see, and just able to clean up these actually very powerful foes quite quickly. We did have one of them enter their enhanced mode, but that's fine. So they take less damage, but they take more break damage, so you're able to break them quickly, and then when they're broken, they take extra damage. So if he enhances, it's fine, we just break the enhance and do the extra damage. If he doesn't enhance, then we just do our normal damage and get through it. Act 2, Part 2 done. We're on to Part 3. Alright, miss it there. Did we get our Kaleido reward? This is where we get it, right?
Here we got it.
Alright, great. So our AP, or whatever it's called in this one, for doing all of the quests, we're awarded points of some type, and getting enough of those gives us rewards. We got the Kaleido Master Quartz. That is a great Master Quartz. It provides a few different effects. The first one is Sepith drops. When you attack an enemy, they're going to drop Sepith when you hit them. And in fact, it's on hit. So if you do an attack that does multiple hits, they drop a lot of Sepith. Reen's S-Craft does a lot of hits, like a lot. So we're going be using Reen as our Sepith generator, which is mainly our money generator. So Reen's making us money when he attacks now. Kaleido also provides bonus experience to the... So we're going to give it to Reen so he gets bonus experience to keep his level high-ish. Because mech fights care about Reen's level, so we need Reen to be as high level as possible. The game itself actually already has a built-in experience catch-up mechanism. If you're well under-leveled, you get bonus experience. So Kaleido and that together actually will keep us not too far behind where we're supposed to be in levels, even though we're only doing boss fights. But yeah, we want to keep Kaleido on Reen for a lot of the run for those two reasons. Get us the money we need and get him the experience to help out mech fights. And yes, to chat, that guy we just fought at the end of Act 2 Part 2 is the guy who stands on the outside of the tank. He won't hide inside. Alright, this chapter we're heading back to Thor's. That's kind of the school from chapter 3. So we're pretty much required to bring all of the students from Thor's. So our party is mainly new class 7 at this point. So we don't get to bring a lot of our more powerful old class 7 characters. We do get Tita though, and as I noted, Tita has Blast Force, a very, very powerful Brave Order. So we are heading to Thor's, which is actually the place we did the out of bounds trick to go earlier in the game. So we actually have a bunch of fast travel points further into this area, which we could use to just jump ahead, but it doesn't help us because the game actually requires you to hit all of the story triggers in order. Like this little fence here, that is a critical load-bearing story fence. If we don't talk to that, nothing else in the chapter will happen. So we have to go ahead and do all of these things in the correct order, even if they seem not very important, to trigger the next thing. So even though we have these fast travel points, we can't actually make use of them. This battle here, just a small little battle, but happens to be story critical for whatever reason, so we have to clear that out before we can move on. And one more story beat here. Randy will also be joining the party, so we'll be putting him into the active party and kind of setting ourselves up for the rest of this chapter, which is Reen's going to kind of take over, doing a little bit more of a go fast support role type work, and Randy will be doing a lot of our damage here, so we're setting things up that way. Yeah, a lot of what kind of makes characters good or strong is how strong their S-craft is, because I kind of talked about rankings on those. So Randy has a strong S-craft, which makes him powerful, as well as he just has a high natural strength value. And for physical attackers, your strength is what impacts how hard your S-craft hits. So all those combine together to make Randy a good choice.
Awesome weapons because we need to use them later.
Yeah. So yeah, that weapon purchase is actually prepped for the next chapter, where we're going to be getting more like a gauntlet of fights again, and so lots of characters are going to have to contribute. So again, just like we did at the end of the last act, we have to set up a lot of characters to be ready to fight. To chat, yes, Brave Orders matter a lot. That has a big impact on choosing who we're bringing along for different fights. So yeah, what their S-craft does, what their stats are like, and the Brave Order they bring are all big contributors on who we're bringing along for these fights. We also consider what they can do as a partner inside of mech fights. And for guest characters, we also consider what is their master quartz that you're not able to change. Guest characters have their master quartz set. So like Angie, for example, always has emblem on. You can't change that. Right, so these fights here, we have to do a bunch of forced combats against the Thor's students there. We are a little interested in trying to get some duplicates against those, as they do drop few materials. But otherwise, our main concern is managing our craft points there. So emblem restoring enough that we're able to take the fights on. So you saw Billy pause again for that reason. Alright, first of the Thor's mech battles. I mentioned before, some enemies, depending on the stance they're in, you don't have a weak point, will just not have a weak point. Like their worst will be a 2-star location, which means doing follow attack is incredibly hard. So to get through those, we use craft attacks, which is why we brought Muse in this fight. She is the 90% craft. So the enemy within there was in a non-weak point stance, so we use Muse's craft, still likely do the follow-up attack, 90%, get the damage out through the Unite, which was increased by Kurt's Blade Dance, and get the fight under control. Without that, if she's in that bad stance, you can't do enough damage, and then she'll hit you too hard, and then if they do follow-up attacks, you just die. So we kind of need that 90% connect. Fortunately, when fights do go off the rails on Nightmare, everything is so strong, we die very quickly, and then we just restart the fight immediately. So if we do end up dying, it's a time loss for sure, but it's not like we have to reload to an old save or anything. We just go straight back into the fight. So as long as our setup is correct, we're able to just start over and try again very, very quickly. Right, another fight there. Again, Bailey's watching his craft points there from Emblem, making sure he has enough. Going for that one, and then on to another mech fight. We'll bring Ash along for this run. This one doesn't have as annoying weak point management, so we bring along Ash. He's just his mech is very big, beefy, and tanky, takes a lot of hits, and does a lot of damage. So Ash is a good choice. We also often don't want to bring Kurt along in his mech, because like I said, he's big and beefy. He can get knocked down, that can happen. But we have our Resurrect Stones to bring him back up. That in fact, I think is pretty likely in this fight. I know there's some fights we just expect people to get knocked down, so.
Almost got out.
Yeah. So as I was saying, Kurt can ride a mech. We don't bring him along though because we want him to do partner. His support ability of Blade Dance is very, very useful. We also saw there Yuna's also a pretty good partner. She can do her arts, does an accelerate, gives you an extra turn, brings you to the top of the turn order. So also gives you a lot of good control over turn management. So accelerate, which Yuna and Machias can do, are really powerful tools for mech fights, particularly when things are not going the way we want. We can use those extra turns to try to get things back on track. Alright, this is your favorite dungeon, right, Billy? You love this one.
Casually was hard. I got lost.
So we are joking. This dungeon's kind of miserable. It's very long and pretty confusing because every single hallway looks the same. So it was one of the more annoying ones to learn.
The last part where you have to keep switching and then going back and forward.
Yeah. Yeah, the second zone, there's a particularly annoying part. You have to hit all the buttons in the right order, run through the same room multiple times, but go out different doors. Yeah, it's easy to get lost in this one. We do have Tita here in the party, so we've gone ahead with her in the lead. She actually has an amazing field attack. Not that we talk too much about that mechanic. Characters can attack on the field to hit enemies. That can do things like stun them. Tita's really good at stunning enemies. So having her in the lead here means if enemies kind of get in an annoying location, she's just really good at kind of attacking them to maybe stun them so we can just walk around them easier or just get them out of the way in whichever way. Also for breaking down these pillars, she hits all of them in one shot. Yeah, a lot of times whoever's in the lead of the party is controlled by whoever has the best field attack available.
I did a few attack right there so that the monster lose aggro, gives them more time to lose it.
Yeah, you'd see that manipulation Billy there just did there worked perfectly. The enemies were in that very small hallway, but they were lined up perfectly back to back on one side, so he was able to just go to the other side and run past them while their aggro was still down. A little bit of field technique there to get enemies doing what we want. So as we're running through this dungeon, a bunch of different rooms have different traps that are going off, ones that like drain HP or AP. The trap in this room is turning the lights off, but everyone is like super impressed by that trap for some reason. They're like, wow, this is the most technically advanced thing I've ever seen. I don't know, I just think it's fun.
Yet it's still not fully dark, some of the lights are still on the sides.
Yeah, they could have really turned off all the lights, but they didn't. Okay, I think in lore, it's a light absorption field, which is why they're all impressed, but like, it looks like they just turned off the lights. Mechanically, it makes you enter battle blind, but we just don't enter battle, so we don't care. Yeah, so this is the room right here where we enter multiple times from different doors and have to exit out different doors to get us to different switches, which is changing how the floor is set up in that room. And yeah, it's a pain. And you can go to the wrong room in the wrong order, which will then cascade and do other things. And that robot sometimes likes to be on top of the switch, but Billy was able to drag him away quickly. Come back and actually hit the switch again to get everything in the correct setup.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to dodge that enemy in the middle.
Yeah, it's an annoying one. Because we walk through this room multiple times, it can sometimes be worth it to just take him out the first time you come in the room, so you don't have to dodge him every time you walk through. But as you saw, loading up a battle does take a little bit of time, so we like to avoid it whenever we can. Right, and with that, we are ready for our boss fight. So this one has a lot of characters in it, which means the turn order has a lot of variability. So I'm hoping we go quickly in it, which great, we here got the first turn, so that is setting us up well. We'll restore ourselves great points, so we can do the very powerful blast force, and then start launching with our attacks. Yeah, so not only are there a lot of characters who do actions, which is slow, they might kill us, which would be bad. Michael, the main boss there, can also move behind us, which then makes targeting also a pain. So it's really, really helpful to have Rin go fast there, so we stacked speed on him for that reason. Alright. Ooh, and with that done, Act 2, Part 3 done, we get another reward there for raising in rank, the Revolution Quartz. That's just a normal quartz, not a master quartz, so we equip that in one of our, we have like 7 slots or something to put on normal quartz. Revolution's a fun, interesting quartz. What it is if you are lower level than the enemy, you do up to 50% more damage. We're speedrunning, we're usually a lower level than the enemy. The unfortunate part is the up to 50% more damage is random. If you are lower level, it means the quartz turns on, but it randomly rolls how much extra damage you get. So, yeah, sometimes it gives us extra damage, but not always. But it only takes that one slot, so we're willing to equip it and sometimes get the bonus damage from it.
This is why we do the 2-3-1 to request earlier, so we can get the revolution. Otherwise, we can't get it.
Exactly. So the succeeding on doing quests gives us the AP, the points we need to raise in ranks, and so we do that one very quick side quest, 2313, where we just answer some questions to get this AP. Also, that fight at the end of Fragments that we try to win because it's faster to win it also provides us the AP we need to get Revolution. So if we miss either of those two, we won't have Revolution at this point. Which again, it's random damage, so we might be okay without it, but like every fight that becomes a damage roll, so we're in the opportunity of not winning if we roll low. With Revolution, we get kind of 2 chances to roll high, both the damage roll and the Revolution roll. Alright, so we ran around, talked to everyone, and we're rewarded with the second round of running around and talking to everyone. missed chat. Yes, we will be fighting the proper final boss there. Thank you, Izue, for noting that. But yeah, we'll be playing through and doing the actual true final boss on this route, which we have to do a little bit of side content for to unlock. Alright, with all of that walking around done, we are now actually able to get into the dungeon we'll do here. So you see we're setting up 2 teams. We bring Eustace and Randy along on the first team. Eustace bringing Noble Rise, Great Brave Order. And Randy we just set up in the previous chapter, so he's still set up with good equipment, so he'll be able to hit hard. And then we bring Laura in the second team, because Laura is awesome. She does all of our support work, so of course we bring Laura. So we'll go through this. We're going to be doing 2 fights here in the dungeon portion, and then at the end, a big gauntlet of fights. So actually, everyone in these parties is going to be contributing in all of the upcoming fights. I'm not sure if you noticed, but a lot of these characters are actually guest characters from previous games who have now joined us to help them out. A good turnover on this one. We'll have to see that. Guest characters are tricky. We can't change all of their gear. A lot of what they have equipped is set, like their master quartz, which means some of them don't have very good builds, and we're just kind of stuck with that. So this upcoming gauntlet is going to be actually pretty challenging for that reason, and there's quite a few fights that can have bad stuff happen in them, just because we have characters who are set up in non-optimal ways, and we just have to push through with what they have. So you'll see us do some slightly different stuff in some of these, or jumping through a few extra hoops to make up those shortcomings.
I hope I go first here. This is a really bad fight if I don't.
Yeah. So Gilbert is back, and as usual, he's a jerk. We don't like him, and yeah, if we don't go first, this fight can go off the rails quite quickly. So again, we do what we can, which is we stack our speed as high as possible, and what does he do?
Oh, we're at least alive.
Ooh, okay, good. And so we're alive. He can mute too. We saw mute show up on, or someone does mute him there on Dupley. And so if Laura got mute, that's bad. She needs to be able to cast all of her spells, all of her arts to get through that fight. But fortunately, the damage was spread out enough, and the status effects didn't go on the right character, so even with the bad turn, we're still okay. We're going ahead and doing setup here actually for some upcoming fights as well, keeping our brave points nice and high to use an item, and then otherwise going ahead and launching out all of our S-crafts as normal. But yeah, that is planning for this upcoming gauntlet as well. And putting on emblems here, get ourselves our craft points back, so we'll need everyone in top form for this upcoming gauntlet. It can be a mean one. So again, we care a lot about kind of turn order and what enemies do in multiple of these upcoming fights. So back to the original team, same thing, throw emblem on them and get their craft points back.
Could have added the longer pathway here.
Yeah, we get here too fast, so you see Billy just hanging out, waiting for emblem to give him back everything. We use that time to just inch forward to right in front of the door. So we have 4 fights here, and we have 16 characters, 4 per fight, so everyone's going to get used. So Billy's setting up who he needs in each of the different battles. And
oh my god.
Internal.
HP here. This guy. Oh, thank god.
Alright, so there we did have, again, we care a lot about turn order. That was a bad one, but we were able to still get through. We just launch over S-crafts. That's kind of one of those damage roll ones. If you don't get a turn, give yourself an extra low stat up. But our damage rolls were high enough. So thank you, damage rolls and your revolution. Yeah, this fight can be scary. They can do some very powerful attacks if we don't get our turns quickly. And so we actually have Ellie there do her. We actually use the healing S-craft there to be able to survive these rounds of attacks. So thank you, Ellie, actually being useful there with that S-craft. We're going to use Calamity Sphere, the Brave Order that does Accelerate, so it pulls everyone turn order up, so we all get our turns immediately, and that lets us cast everything we need to cast. These are all magic users, all casters, so Fortuna is going to raise our magic stat, which all of their S-crafts are actually linked to magic, so we're going to use that to do our bonus damage here. And looks like the damage lined up. Yeah, that fight can also go off the rails very quickly, and this one can too, so we're hoping to see a good turnover in the second fight. Great. Cool. This fight has many things that can go poorly if we don't go early. And fortunately, Laura got that first turn there, so fine, we just win at this point. But instant death attacks, status ailments, just too much damage. If all the 3 enemies go before we do, we're probably dead. So, and even just one of them can cause us problems. So this one is a very, very high RNG fight, and fortunately we got the good turnover. So, alright, and one more fight to go in this gauntlet. And we'll see where our turn order is on this one. Hopefully we continue to get some good luck here. Amazing. Green going first. So again, that's exactly what we want to see. We're in good shape. Enter Demon mode for extra damage here from Green. It'll be useless as Aaron Powder, so Eustace can do a second S-craft, which is going to give us just enough damage here to close this out. And no more eyes again, giving everyone the stat boosts we need. And extra damage. Alright, great. That wraps up Act 2. Well done, Billy, getting through some fights that go very poorly for us. So good to see all those done. All right, on to Act 3. Let's do this.
I think we got a new ship here.
Yeah, we have our own private flying battleship now, so we're going to go ahead and run around exploring that, and of course talking to all of our friends as usual. So visit all the facilities here, but there's a hot springs on board, there's shops, there's training rooms. There's a lot on here, and we'll be making use of that throughout the run at different points. So yeah, the game requires us to visit everything to see it before we're allowed to move on, so that's what we're doing now. Even has its own library. We will not make use of that at all. So like Billy's using a little bit of fast travel points there, just often movement. We have to head outside to the deck of the ship at one point, so he goes ahead and does that. Fast travels back into the floor he was already on, so he had the fast travel points, just getting close to a location where someone else needs to talk to. Buying a handful of new weapons. Again, those are the characters we're going to be using in these upcoming fights. So just getting them equipped and ready. And I think a little bit more shopping on this floor. Or we do that shopping later. No, okay, shopping now.
Almost
So we're gonna go. Cool. So we're gonna actually use some of our stuff there to actually buy, open up a quartz slot and buy the Impede 3 quartz. Impede is the quartz that does delay. Delay is the thing that makes enemies' turn orders come up later. Delay has this really weird, interesting mechanic. I don't know. Where it stacks. If you have multiple sources of delays, one from the craft itself and one from your items, they add together and use all of it. Gaius, as I mentioned before, has absolute delay on his S-craft. So if we give him a delay quartz in P3, it adds those two delay sources together, and they all become absolute delay, so even bosses are going to get delayed. So Gaius is going to be able to now add a lot of delay to the enemies we're fighting, which gives us the ability for our support character, Laura, to take a lot of turns as long as Gaius is constantly launching his S-crafts, which is what he'll be doing. Fee has also made it into the party. She's going to be our main damage dealer, really, or she's our highest damage dealer in this section of the game, all through Act 3, by making use of her stealth ability. So stealth provides your next hit is guaranteed to be a critical, and we've given her the Master Quartz that makes her critical hits hit even harder. So that Quartz and the Minotaurus Quartz, Fee has both of them on. So she is going to do a lot of damage with every one of her attacks as long as she is in stealth and gets that guaranteed critical. So what we're going to want to see in these fights is Fee to get a turn, so we can put her in stealth, get our Brave Order going, and then launch at all of her S-crafts, Laura restore craft points to keep launching at more and more S-crafts. HP totals just loaded again. So kind of in that last fight we were doing, enemies had 300,000 HP or so, but would run away at half. This boss here has 300,000 HP, but isn't going to run away at half. We have to go through all of it. So we really do need these extra tools here of Fee doing all this critical damage and Gaius being able to do this extra little delay. Enemies are starting to get quite painful to deal with. The other big thing is we gave Mobius Master Quartz here to Laura. That is a Master Quartz that provides AoE on your items. Your items now hit multiple people. Normally they'd only hit one person. So our very strong items, the Zerum Powders and Zerum Capsules, ones that restore craft points, normally you would just do that to one person. We can now do it to the entire team. So we don't only have the Kiss spell to restore our craft points in battle, we can now also easily use items as another way to restore our craft points. And again, since HP totals more or less doubled from where they were at the end of last chapter, we really need all that extra damage to get through these fights.
Oh, the worm.
That one looks scary. It's actually okay. Celine body blocks that enemy. It's why we specifically run behind that pillar. We run behind it, Celine follows us behind it. The enemy then will be trapped on Celine and can't get to us. So thanks, Celine, helping us out. So it looks a lot scarier than it is. This fight is a critical duplication fight. This enemy drops a quartz that provides 200 strength, a lot of strength anyway. It's like best in slot for almost the entire game. So we really do want to see the duplication here. So again, we're really watching how our damage is lined up here, as well as drops a lot of Sepit. And we're going to need to do some shopping shortly, so we're making sure Reen's getting that additional. And there we go. You saw Billy there check her HP to make sure she was where we wanted to be, and then had Gaius launch the final attack to get the duplication. So that's great. We got that duplication done. And we also got Reen to get a few extra attacks in. Reen is getting the Sepith drops through that Kaleido Master Quartz we talked about earlier. And so that's going to set us up to do our shopping the next time we're on our ship. So yeah, just a lot of kind of gear collection right now to get ourselves ready for the rest of this chapter. And you'll see this a lot. Billy going menu, swapping emblem on after fight, getting ready for the next fight, where he'll then swap Minotaurs back on. This is pretty similar to what we've just been doing, just a longer fight. This enemy has even more HP, I think 500,000 at this point, so we're going to have to do a lot of rounds of doing the restore craft points, throw out the powerful S-crafts. But fortunately, with the ability to do Gaius absolute delay, pushing the enemy's turn back over and over again, Laura will constantly have turns to throw the Zerum Powders, restore everyone else's craft points. Her having turns means we can start up in Brave Orders like Raging Fire here, and yeah, we can keep getting the damage out while staying safe. We don't want bosses to get turns, especially after we start hitting them. They start on getting their own S-crafts as they get to half HP. We can't take those. We can't let those launch. So we need to not let them take a turn. Which, great, well done Billy getting through that one. We do care a lot about trying to duplicate pretty much every boss from this point on. They're all dropping useful consumables. Not required, but useful. So we are still trying to line up those dupes.
getting money to buy passionate runes right now.
Yeah. So all of that set that we were earning, mainly through Kaleido from marine attacking, we don't need it for too much, so we're just going to sell all of it, a huge pile of money, as Billy was saying, to buy a very, very expensive accessory, the Passionate Rouge, which provides 200 strength, the most strength in the accessory slot other than some unique items. So we bought 5 of those, a lot of those, and we're going to start putting them on our damage dealers here to really get them a big boost here in the amount of damage they would push out. Yeah, I think we get one accessory at some point in the game that does more strength, but only one of those is available. So the Passionate Rouges are our main source of damage here, or main source of damage in the accessory slot. So we're getting a lot from our Master Quartz now, we're getting a lot from our normal Quartz now, and a lot from our accessories now. So really, the builds are starting to come together. Right, you see we've added Angie to the party here. Angie is required. Her and Elisa are going to be forced into an upcoming battle here. They'll have to be the ones to do it. So we set up Angie here to be able to do... She's going to be the main damage dealer for that battle. But since we're forced to set up Angie to get through that fight, might as well leave her set up here for the rest of the Act 3. So she's actually going to become one of the main damage dealers in our party for the rest of the act. Again, she comes with her own emblem, which is very useful, so we don't have to do additional menuing, swapping emblem on and off of her. Her S-Craft is a very powerful one, it has a good multiplier on it, and she's just strong in general. So yeah, Angie's going to be in the team for the rest of the act. Very good turn order on this one. So yeah, we basically have Elisa here supporting Angie, giving her the strength food, letting her launch an S-Craft, giving her Zarin powder so she can do another S-Craft, breaking the enemies, and then Elisa cleans up with, I believe she has on the Scorpio Master Quartz, or if not, Scorpio Master Quartz does extra damage against broken enemies. Or if not, Angie just does enough damage. Yeah, I know we talked about the Master Quartz system a bit before, but you actually have the 2 different slots here of Master Quartz, your main one and your secondary one. You get all the effects of your main one and some effects of the secondary one. Guest characters like Angie have their main one set, you can't change it. Angie's is emblem, which is a good Master Quartz, so we're happy. Also makes duplications easier. And then we just, in the secondary slot, give almost everyone Minotauros, which is the extra damage quartz, with the increased delay, but we don't care about that. And Laura's... Oh, go ahead.
The sub Master Quartz only gets the first effect, and every Master Quartz has 3 different effects.
Yep. Okay. So Billy there was just quickly checking turn order, seeing if he's able to get his arts cast out before the enemies took a turn. He wasn't able to, so Chrono Burst being incredibly broken. You can Chrono Burst and your arts, which would normally take time to cast, now has 0 cast time. So if you're not able to get your arts out fast enough, no problem, we just use Chrono Burst again to break the game. Alright.
Okay, I got it. Nice.
Good. So yeah, this fight can go tricky. Then we can do 1, he can seal us, which means we're not going to get a turn. And 2, we can seal the enemy, which means he'll miss his next turn. And couple that together with Sarah doing a speed down effect, means the enemy takes almost no turns once we get kind of the loop going, which is what Billy was able to score with. He was able to set this up, so the fight should be safe for the rest of this point. But yeah, if the enemy ends up sealing us instead, so we're not able to take a turn, then we're not able to seal him, so the fight can start to get very dangerous very quickly, depending on what he does with those turns. Because that guy does hit hard, and Muse is quite fragile. Her Mech is by far the weakest one, the least HP on it. Alright. fit through that. Act 3 is kind of set up. Generally what we'll be doing is we'll do a smaller portion, and then we'll go to the Sanctuary, which is the main dungeon for that part. So we're in Act 3, Part 2 here, and we're getting ready to head into the Sanctuary portion of that. So this will be the last dungeon of this part. We'll have to run through that. Generally has a few boss fights, like mini boss fights, and then a final boss fight, and then into the big mech fight of the chapter to close it out. So that's what we're setting up for here. So we do have Fee here in the lead. As I mentioned, generally our party lead is controlled by what their field attack is. Her field attack is quite useful. It has two parts. It has a range component and a melee component. So sometimes if no enemies are around, so we're not under any pressure, we can use the range component to hit something far away. And if not, the melee attack comes up pretty quickly, so we can use that when we just get reckless. So you saw Billy attacked one pillar with the melee and shot another one, and that's just kind of controlled by what enemies around on the field are doing around him. So we don't have uses in the party right now, which means in order to get our strength buff, we're going to go ahead and have Laura give food to everyone, because she has Mobius Master Quartz on. That food is AoE. She's able to feed it to everyone at once. Don't ask questions. So everyone gets the strength buff at the same time, and then we're able to just launch out our S-Crest as usual. We're kind of under a little bit of constraint here on our character party slots, so we can't bring everyone we'd want to, so we have no uses. So we're kind of making do for what we're able to do, or having the party, because we need certain characters for the Brave Orders, we need certain characters because they have good S-Crafts, good damage, and yeah, there's only so many slots. Certain characters are required to bring along to each of these dungeons, so we just have to do it. And picking up a little bit of treasure again. Consumables are pretty much what our main concern is now. We don't care so much about Sepith anymore. We've kind of finished what we need to do with that. But we need the consumable items, brave items for brave points, Zarums for craft points, and U materials for brave stones, which are the brave points in mech battles. Anyway, this fight is just like the previous one. Food item for the strength buff, launch out your S-Crafts. They play out pretty much the same. We are finally starting to get some of that like tier 4 equipment though. Some quartz here that are a bit stronger. So those are status ailment inflicting quartz that also give a big chunk of strength. So we're just picking those up here and there, and we'll put a bunch of them on a character at some point. You just get a nice little strength boost.
And the boss didn't go first.
Yeah, that's great. So this boss opens with his enhanced move, putting him in the enhanced state, which again means he takes 50% less damage. He won't kill us by going with the enhanced state, but he's a lot tankier, and so we basically have to spend more resources and more time getting through the fight, so we are really happy to not see him go first. And in fact, that worked out great because Fee got the first turn, which meant she was able to go concealed, go into stealth mode, and then Laura's still getting turns. So hey, that's as good as we can see it go. We can get through the fight if he enhances, we just we spend more time and I think burn an extra Zarum item, so. Alright, we're into the mech fight instruction. Mech fights are starting to get very scary. These are the Divine Knight mech battles. The opponent will, when we get them down to about half life, enter phase 2, where they enter enhanced mode and do scary attacks. So we're basically setting up the first half of the fight to knock them into phase 2 with a unite attack, usually to break them. So we do a lot of damage and break them as we push them into phase 2, hopefully pushing them deep down into that phase 2 so they're not in it for as long of a time, and the break inflicting a small amount of delay, so their first turn is kind of further away. So if we've lined up this one right, when we push this guy into phase 2, we'll actually have a lot of delay on him. And so we'll actually have a lot of free turns. Yeah, that looks good. The turnover looks good. So we're able to just spam hitting his 4-star location over and over again. Rebuild our brave points without him taking a turn. Launch out the Unite attack from our brave points and break him so he doesn't get to do anything in the enhanced mode, which is very scary. If they hit us when they're enhanced, they can do powerful attacks and then a follow-up craft, which can like just kill us. So yeah, Divine Knight battles are scary, and Billy expertly navigating through that, no problems. Super clean.
3 power orbits the meta. That's why I could
yes.
kill so fast.
It always is.
So
Just pure strength.
Billy talking about there is the equipment we put on our mechs. Our mechs also can equip quartz. So Billy's just piled on the power quartz onto the mechs, so they're just hitting as hard as possible. Really just piling out the damage so you can get control of that fight and push them into the correct phases. Picking up one more Passionate Rouge there. That kind of completes our set for the rest of the game. We have 6 now, so 1 or 2 for each of our physical fighters, because we have 3 people who will be attacking, and then Laura on support. You saw Billy there brought the most important party, which is he randomly selected them. Whenever we do that, it means we're not fighting, so we didn't care who we brought. Okay, this one we actually care, so we bring our party of Angie, Fee, Gaius with Laura on support. And head into the next dungeon. Alright, we are 2 hours in, and we've made it back to the first dungeon. We did it, everyone. We're back where we started.
Yeah, it's a gem tower now.
Yeah. So, this is the same dungeon, but, you know, we have our actual party. It is progressing the story. This is not Cold Steel 1 or 3, where literally you do play half the game to just work your way back to the opening scene. But here we just happen to be in the same location. Pretty long dungeon. We'll be running through this again. A little bit of treasure to pick. Oof. Okay, so doors are annoying. We can't see through them. So if an enemy's right on the other side of a door, that's a really easy one to just run into. You'll just open the door, be in turbo mode, run right into them, get into the battle. It'll happen. Battles can be scary when they do occur, because again, Nightmare, pretty much anything can kill us. If an enemy gets a back attack, that gets exceptionally scary in fact. So if we hit them front on, it's usually okay, but if they run to our back, they will get so many turns, and again are doing so much damage, we could very well wipe that the back attacks. But front attacks are usually okay, and we can use a smoke grenade to guarantee runaway on our first run attempt.
Worst case, I guess you could use Gaius S-Craft for the absolute delay.
100% that's done. In situations where we run into a bad-looking random battle and we need to, Gaius will have Emblem on too, so if he does have to S-Craft to get through that, as long as there's a decent amount of walking left, it won't even cost that much time, not much more than a normal random battle, simply because Gaius will get all his craft points back anyway. Which is why Gaius has earned a spot in the team for pretty much all of this chapter. He is just incredibly useful. Yeah, I think without absolute delay, I don't know if we could win these fights. It is super, super useful.
Without early emblems, it's probably going to be hard to speedrun this.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the other big thing. On Nightmare difficulty, getting that early emblem is such a big deal. One, like the craft point management becomes so much easier, and those duplications for all the consumables, which we're going to burn through. We very well might burn through all of them. I definitely have seen Billy end the game with 0 of the consumable items left. So we need those duplications to be happening too.
Okay, I'm lost.
Did you hit all 3 switches?
Oh,
you
It looks like you didn't because you don't have the upper floor unlocked.
Yeah, you probably missed one.
I think the middle one you might have skipped.
Oh, okay.
Great. At the top floor. Cool. So what we were doing on this floor, we were running around just each of the zones and had to talk to each of these 3 computer terminals to unlock the elevator. And yeah, so easy enough to run past one of the terminals. The game doesn't force you to talk to it. So if you miss talking to it, the elevator won't be unlocked when you hit it. Alright, great. So there we saw Billy do his auto setup there, auto physical. You can just have the game auto equip your quartz for you, so we actually use that a fair bit. I haven't talked about that, but we picked up a bunch of small quartz to get extra strength, and auto physical puts all those on for us. This fight is terrifying. We cannot let Mech Burn, the guy in the red coat, take a turn. It's bad. We can't have it happen. So what we need to do is just have guys immediately do his S-craft, get that absolute delay, push everyone back, and then we see where we are at that point. Depending on the turn orders then, getting the stealth up, getting the brave orders lined up, if Gaius was able to be buffed or not before he did his attack, means we have to sometimes do a little bit of extra damage here and there. In this case, we got guys to do his attack, but otherwise things lined up well. We got all the damage out and killed them. But yeah, Mech Burn's opening attack knocks everyone down to 200 HP and gives them the burn status, which means if they do anything other than heal on their turn, they'll die to the burn. It's like does damage when you take your turn, which includes doing your S-craft. So yeah, we just can't let that happen. It's bad. To chat, are they long games casually? Yes, these games are very, very long casually. What we're doing is skipping every single story element in the game. There's a lot of story in this. There's a lot of side quests every chapter if you want to do them. You can also just run around and talk to just everyone, and there's a lot of interesting side characters who have their own stories going on that advance as you kind of move through the game. So if you just run around and talk to everyone, these games can easily run 80, 100 hours, depending on how completionish you want to be and how much you want to see. And we're going to try to finish it in about 3 hours. So yeah, they're a lot longer casualty games. But great games. They're like super well built. The world building, the fun characters, there's a lot in here. Clearly made with a lot of love by the developers. They really put a lot of care and attention into these. So great games to play casually if you like this style. Heavy story, heavy and good mechanics too. It's fun to play casually. The battles are well balanced, tight. Well, okay. If you try to, you can break the game, as you can see. But if you're not trying to break the game, the battles can be quite interesting.
Yeah, just like maybe consider taking a break after finishing one game. You might just burn out from trails too much. But that really depends on the person.
Yeah. Especially with just how many Trails games there are. Alright, so this battle was actually done in 2 parts. The first part we show up, there's some mechs on the ground, and Emilia there is hanging out in the back. We can't actually fight her until we kill the mechs, so we launch out the S-crafts to kill them, then have to replenish our resources to be able to get our craft points up to also take her out. We do care about trying to get the dupe on this one. It's a nice to have. She drops an item that provides a speed boost. Again, we care about stacking speed on certain characters, so getting 2 of those quartz is going to be helpful. Laura and Fee, I think, get them. So again, Laura and Fee are important to go early. We need Fee to go quickly to enter stealth mode. And Laura, then we want to have a turn because she's the one who's going to give everyone back all of their resources. So. Cool. Billy paying attention there to the sound cue, letting him know that enemy was chasing him, so he ran behind the pillar to smack it. If the enemy is chasing you and you hit the pillar from the front, the game pauses to play the cutscene, the enemy doesn't pause, so the enemy will catch up to you, be standing on top of you as you exit the cutscene, and you enter battle. Typically in a back attack. So if you know that enemy's chasing you, you have to go to the back of the pillar for safety. Alright, another mini boss battle here in this dungeon. This one's not too bad. Unlike the previous one, all the enemies are on the field immediately, so we just have to watch the turn orders here. Gaius can go ahead and do his S-break if we had a pretty bad turn order. but we got lucky to turn order. So we do go cool for strength, S-craft away, restore craft points, win. There is a bit of trying to duplicate there. The mechs, I think, can drop you materials. Duplicating is also a little bit easier because, as I said, Angie brought her own emblem. Emblem is the master quartz that gets us the duplications. So as you get enemy close to death, you can have both Gaius and Angie attack. And as long as one of them scores the final hit, then you'll get the duplication. So another reason why we like bringing Angie along for this chapter, makes duplication pressure a little easier. Like I mentioned earlier, like a rogue critical turn showing up can mean your damage is piled up a little too quickly at the start. Having 2 chances to score that duplication helps a lot solving those. Good turn her, so we don't mind too much if this boss gets a turn. Her first attack is usually not a terribly scary one. Again, they don't do their most scary stuff for most of them until they're halfway down, like halfway through their HP. So there we had V enter her stealth and just waited for Laura's turn to show up. No need to have Gaius push the turn order down. We'd rather instead make sure there's a lot of HP to chew through on this boss, so we'd rather make sure all of our S-crafts are hitting the most amount of damage. So get our stat boosts out as needed, get our damage Brave Orders. We're using Chaos Raven now, that's Crows, for the 20% bonus damage over 10 turns, which is useful because we're doing so many attacks. And great, looking good. Okay, this mech fight's bad. The boss here is... this boss is very, very, very dangerous. And she also has a stance that doesn't have a weak point. So if she chooses to use that at a bad point, it can make the fight spiral like very, very quickly. So we hope... So that's the stance she's in now, is that one. And so we don't want to see that one. We can fall back to our craft to do 90% chance of break or still gain the follow-up attack, but that is a longer delay. So we'd much rather be able to just normal attack and get the 100% guaranteed. So her doing that is not what we want to see. We'll see how the fight plays out from here, but she did bad stance. So yeah, let's see Billy here planning how to get through. He's go ahead and using the repair stones here to make things a little safer. You do need to have your character do unite with the strength buff, which is what Billy did there. He pushed into second phase with a delay, so that is good. Let's see if we have enough turns here. Great. So enough delay was built up there, and Billy had enough brave points, and the staff boost lined up. He was able to launch out just enough damage there to completely skip past the enhanced phase. Pushed into phase 2, they enhanced. Billy did very powerful attacks into Unite into the Helix, knocked her out of the enhanced phase, and got the fight back in control. So really well navigating there by Billy. That fight is a handful, 100%. Billy making it look easy. All right, well done. Good work. Good work.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that one's tense. It's over 2 hours into the run and can just choose to end your run if she does not want to cooperate.
Really just reminds me of the dual ghost thing in River. That fight goes really bad.
Yeah, both Gold Seal 4 and Reverie have some mech fights right towards the end of the game, like well over 2 hours in. That can just, when you're like on PB pace, just choose to end it for you. They'll just be like, no, you don't get to win this time. All right, we've entered here kind of the interlude before we enter the final dungeon, which is our opportunity to get to spend some time with our friends. But, we're speedrunning, so we don't do that. We don't have time for friendship, so we're going to instead choose to spend our 5 tickets here on the event we can skip through, so we don't have to watch anything, as opposed to, riding the Ferris wheel or doing the roller coaster. Now we just grab drinks and skip through everything.
Just don't miss.
Please don't miss green. This fight is the first time since we've picked up Minotauros we care about the extra delay it does, so we go ahead and remove it for this fight, because Reen has to do each of his craft attacks once to unlock his special S-craft to end the fight here. If we had Minotauros on, we couldn't win this fight. We would take too long in between each of the crafts, and we would just lose to our shadow there. Yeah, exactly, chat. We're busy trying to run quickly. We don't have time for all that side stuff.
Finally, Reen on the right path. Forget about the harem.
And with that, we are entering the final or finale here of the game. So we're going to have kind of a guest character dungeon to do, and then the actual final dungeon. So, still a fair amount to get through, but very, very battle heavy coming up here. Lots of combat. Final dungeon does require almost everyone to get involved in battle again. So you can see Billy here buying weapons for pretty much everyone. So again, when the 1 or 2 battles everyone has to join in on, they're able to help out in those. Plus, we have a pile of money at this point, so why not buy those? Alright, if you liked the guest characters we had at the end of Act 2, good news! We get more guest character combats here. So we actually have 5 teams, all built of guest characters, which means their setups are kind of locked. We just have to deal with how the game has chosen to set them up. We're going to run through each of their dungeons and then do 5 boss battles in a row. Because we didn't set these characters up, we're going to have to do some different things in each of these fights depending on what the party is composed of and what they actually have equipped. So we're going to actually see some slightly different looking strategies to get through these fights, because we can't just do our normal thing in all of these anymore. This was definitely good.
At least you don't need to do quartz menus here.
True, there's the benefit to not being able to fix our gear. We don't have to do any menuing.
Because doing additional menus for 5 more teams would be quite the time consumption.
Yeah, that definitely is true. As you saw in Fragments, we did a very, very long menu when we were able to set up our teams. So at least the benefit here is we don't have to do the long menus. And yeah, as Izuo is noting in chat, the routing around this was a pain. Because we don't get to control the character setups, we had to just figure out what to take advantage of on however these characters are set up to get through these fights. And some of the compositions are very not optimal, so we do some funny looking things. So yeah, we had a liberal team there. Here's the Crossbell team, Lloyd's team, Lloyd and gang running through. Move on to Angelica's team here. Which we do get some powerful characters here. Rose in particular, I think this might be the first time we got her in this game. But anyway, she's going to be very useful for her section. So the boss fight here is kind of revolving around her ability and what she's able to do. Yeah, to chat. In playing casually, this part is great. It's really big, everything's been building up to this. All of these characters from all these games are coming together. Very fun to play through casually. But yeah, if you're playing on Nightmare, the unoptimized teams makes the fights kind of a pain. Pretty headachy. But very, very cool and fun story moment when you're playing casually. Alright. We have Duvalie's team here. A little fun thing is Duvalie's the only one who can go into party lead on this team, which means she's the only one with field voice lines. So every time we run past a strong enemy, it's going to be only Duvalie who has anything to say about that. So Duvalie kind of spamming here.
In character energy.
And true, lines up well. Same thing actually here in Aurelia's team. She's the only one with who can be the party lead, so enemy getting in our way. And nice, Billy just clear them out. We do want this chest here. This is our U materials, we need those. But yeah, only Aurelia has voice lines, but that's fine. It's an excellent voice line. But yeah, we're picking up all those U materials after we get through this gauntlet at the end of this section. Billy will be buying all of his gravestones with those U materials and kind of checking to see if he has enough and might need to make a call to do a little bit more farming if the numbers look bad. Alright, so here's our first fight of the gauntlet. We have 5. This one actually is kind of normal. We're going to go ahead and launch out our S-crosses, get Blast Force. Very powerful, we talked about that one. Launch out our S-cross. Tita has the Mobius Master Quartz on, which means she can do AoE Z-arm powders, so we can just S-craft spam our way through this one. This one's fine. They can play a little funny. Estelle has a high chance to critical on her S-craft, so depending on if that critical goes through or not, the fight can play out a little differently, faster or slower, but otherwise this fight's usually just fine. Okay, this one's much more annoying. This team is not set up terribly well. So yeah, we don't really have great Master Quartz on these characters, so what we're going to do is try to take advantage of the fact Randy has Scorpio on, which means he does extra damage to a broken enemy. So we're going to look at that feint. I guess Floyd's already cool. We picked Floyd up. Cool. So what we're trying to do here is break this enemy, so that when the enemy is broken, Randy would do extra damage. Okay, we've entered the Tio phase of this fight, so what's going to happen now is Tio is going to take infinite turns by spamming Chrono Burst. She's linked with Randy, so when she attacks the enemy, Randy will do a follow-up attack, hitting her a lot of damage. Because Randy's not taking turns, his stat boost stays high, so he'll keep hitting hard, while Tio just takes turns over and over again, letting him do the damage. There is a Brave Order we cast there that actually makes her Turtle Burst cost no EP, which is why she's able to spam it for so long. So we do that to really dish out the damage on this, rebuild our craft points, and launch out the S-crafts to clean up. But yeah, very unoptimally set up team there. Alright, this team, we are going to go and do the usual thing, get our buffs all set up, so raise everyone who's going to be fighting here all of their stats so they can get a little bit harder. And once that's done, the way we're going to be trying to do damage in this fight is just doing normal crafts. So we're just going to be attacking with our powerful but non-S-craft attacks. Particularly Angie will do a lot of damage. She has the Master Quartz to do extra critical damage, so we're doing the Brave Order for additional critical chance, and so Angie should hit pretty hard. The way we can just keep launching this, though, is Rose's craft restores both HP and craft points when she connects, so she kind of fully heals the entire team every time she attacks. So we're able to just keep spamming against his enemy and stay healthy and stay high in craft points. Put out all the damage, push him into this break phase, which is going to give us more link attacks, which is good, and just more damage against the enemy in general. Typically, we can get him broken, launch out our attacks, and if we're doing S-Crass while he's broken, finish before he does unbreak. So, well done on that one. Okay, this one, Leo is going to be our core piece of that. That's that big guy here, so just do the S-Craft. He has, I think it's Minotauros on, so that's why he's hitting very hard. We're going to do the Brave Order to have him break the enemy, and then very similar to what we did with Randy, is link up with him with a damage Brave Order playing, and have him just attack over, or have him do follow-up attacks to do over 10 damage. So dutifully spamming Chrono Burst, just like Theo was doing, to just do a ton of Leo attacks over and over again. Really, Leo was the only one able to do damage, so we there encapsulated him to be able to have him break twice to break this enemy. And we'll get him low, and another S-Craft from Leo, and if we need to, other characters can join in S-Crafting to clean up. But yeah, a lot of just swapping who's linked up here with Leo, easy happen. Alright, fight 5. Final. These characters are the best. They're all very, very strong. So we're going to just go ahead and raise our stats. do the Brave Order that gives 100% extra damage. We do double damage, and then just launch all the attacks and win. That's the idea. Oh, jeez, yeah. You do have to get the actual stat buffs up, though, so you saw Billy kind of going through that. But yeah, this also tracks lore-wise. These characters are supposed to be some of the most powerful characters in universe, so it makes sense they're able to just kind of win this fight in one round, and Toval's there too. Alright, great. We are done with the guest character gauntlet. So through all those, got to see some different strategies. We are now back to Reen and team, which means we're going to be doing our usual thing now of S-Craft spamming with Laura, restoring everyone. Although this guy has a lot of HP, so it's a pretty long rotation to get through this one.
Why is he so below there? So weird.
Understanding turn orders, especially those open ones, no one really knows how it works. This is kind of random what's going to happen. We stack the speed, try to manipulate it, but it's not super guaranteed what's going to happen, so we just have to deal with what we get. And to chat, close to the end of the game with 1 hour away from Estimate. Yeah, we're almost certainly going to beat Estimate pretty well here, although I say that. The Estimate's high because this is Nightmare. Anything can really kill us. Every single fight in this game can actually end up killing us and causing the time loss. So there's still opportunity here for fights to go poorly and cause time loss, but if they don't, we'll be well ahead of it. Fights up to this point have been going really well, so we actually are doing really, really good here on time. But Nightmare mode provides a lot of variance, unfortunately, which is why there's a pretty high estimate. Bravestone count, how was it looking, Billy? You okay?
Good. Very high.
It's good. It's really high? Alright, that's great.
19.
So, oh wow, that's huge. Yeah, you're great. 16, I think, was, at least for me, the number I'm looking for at this point, and Billy, I know, does some slightly different things, so that he can probably get by with fewer than I want. So we're really high at 19. The Bravestone count, though, is pretty variable, which is why we have to look at it here. Depending on the luck we got in previous mech fights, we might have had to use some extra to get through them, so that can lower the count, as well as what were the U material drops like. Every fight where we're getting new materials actually has some RNG to it, so we sometimes get a lot, sometimes we don't get a lot. So depending on exactly how those numbers line up, we might enter the zone with very low number of Bravestones. Like I've seen 11s and 12s, which is okay. We can solve that problem because there's plenty of enemies in this dungeon that drop you materials. So we just have to stop and do a little bit of extra farming. Or if you're as good as Billy, just figure out the mech fights on the fly. Don't worry about not having Bravestones. But the good news is we should be able to stick to the fast strategies and go for the fast kills in these upcoming fights. To chat, yes, entering this final dungeon, I definitely thought that. I was like, oh cool, I'm in the final dungeon. I'll just finish the game tonight. This is a very, very long final dungeon. There is a lot going on here, including many battles and a lot of story. Playing casually, you have a lot of the game left at this point. Alright.
Typical Trails newbie mistake.
So every single one of these fights we're going to do here is going to have a handful of characters forced into the battle. So that's why we have Altina and Ash in here, characters we're not normally bringing. Altina's, she's okay in DPS one, so she's going to contribute damage there through her S-Craft. Ash, this role will be to change out for Laura, because we just need her in here to give everyone back their craft points and relaunch. Fortunately, Lecter and Claire, not the scariest set of opponents, so we're able to clean this one up pretty fast. Yeah, Chad is clearly has played a Trails game before. They are aware. The finale means there's still a lot of the game left, and final dungeon might not quite be as close to the end as you're thinking it is. Cold Steel 2 particularly standing out on that one.
Oh yeah, because Cold Steel 2 has an epilogue after that.
There's a lot of Cold Steel 2 left after the final dungeon. Yeah, Chad also calling out Cold Steel 2. Yep, that one gets you. That being said, still, the Trail series, a ton of fun. If you've been watching this and you think it looks good, and I highly recommend checking out the Trail series. They're great games. Trails in the Sky first chapter just got a remake in the past year. So if you're looking to get into the series, the first entry has a brand new remake, so you can check that out. The start's a very good place to begin. And then if you do like it, well, good news, there's a lot of these games, so you'll have a lot of playtime ahead of you. And yeah, again, if also you really want to do completionists on them, each of these games is quite long. There's a lot to do in each of them, so they're good, high amount and high quality content. Definitely some of my favorite things to play. Or if you've been playing them before and you think the speedrunning looks fun, there's a great community around speedrunning though. We'd be happy to have you join, and lots of helpful people teach you how to get started. Alright, with that we have another section of the dungeon run through, so we're getting ready here for another boss fight. Kurt is required for this fight, so we have Kurt here in the party. And we'll get through this one. This is against Shirley, and so Shirley can again do the thing where she does the move and ends up behind us, so we're gonna hope she doesn't do that.
She did.
She did. Cedric also took his turn and moved in, so we might actually have everyone close enough. It's also scary when Shirley does that, because it does have a death blow attached to it. She can instant kill us. I don't think we've talked about this yet, shockingly, so many mechanics. If you die, you lose all your craft points, so even if you revive your character, they won't come back with craft points unless you use a revive item like Zerum Powder, which gets craft points. But anyway, that fight went fine, no one died, and everyone was still close enough we could hit all of them. And importantly, we got the dupe there against Shirley. Shirley drops a Zerum Capsule, the 200 craft point item. We definitely use. And into our next mech battle. Alright. So this one, it's another Divine Knight battle. So we're going to be trying to line this one up specifically to push into Phase 2 with a break and with a lot of resources available. So you're actually going to see Billy just kind of spamming items here. We're trying to basically get everyone's delay in the right place so that when we push this boss into Phase 2 with a Unite attack, everyone has very low delays and very high resource counts. So that's what we're trying to set up there. That first Unite attack, the enemy can sometimes be in a 4-star attack, and if not, we just fall back to Crow's 90% unbreak craft, so we have options through that. If we push into Phase 2 here with the break. Phase 2, they enter Enhance, so that's why we want to enter here with good resources. Meaning we'll do a Unite attack with the Strength buff, that's critical. You need that Strength buff to make the Unite hit hard. If we do enough damage, break him, push him out of that Enhanced phase before he, kills us. Alright, cleanly done, good work. Another mech fight down. I had to talk to chat. So much more talking for completionists. Doing a completionist run of these, speed running, there's a lot to do if you really want to 100% these guns, which at the end, I think you've done some 100% runs. Is that right?
It's more like I've done Cold Steel 2 Max AP.
Max
runs.
AP, that's right. Right, and even that's not 100%, because truly doing 100% in one of these that would be a lot. There's a lot of content in every single one of these games. Fully completing them would be a ton of things. There's a bunch of different information things to fill out, which involve having to talk to everyone, visit locations, collect things. Yeah, 100% would be a very long run.
It also really depends what you would consider completionist run, all bonds included, or just the whole logbook completed, filled up. There's a lot to discuss.
Yeah, Cold Steel 2 requires New Game +2 for 100%, I think, as well. which
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's the only one.
because it does have an NG plus boss.
Yep. So if you really want 100% Cold Steel 2, you're looking at 2 playthroughs. Billy,
What's just really funny
chat.
though, because like if you do like stack XP multipliers, I've stacked like 11 point times there. I was able to get a master quartz from level 4 to 5 in one bell.
So that's amazing. That's something we haven't talked about. Experience multipliers, doing different things in battles give you experience multipliers, so you get extra experience. And yeah, if you can pile those up and just get everything all at once. Okay, so despite not a great start to that, we did get an anti-order, so that again means we can't do our own orders. So Billy went and used Chrono Burst, the most broken spell, to clear that out of the way. Got our Noble Rise order out, which is good. Guys is able to do his S-Craft to push everyone down turn order. We were forced to bring Yuna along. We don't want Yuna, so once Guys has done his S-Craft to push the enemies down in turn order, we can swap Yuna out for Laura and clean up the fight nicely. So well done, Billy, even with the bad turn order, able to get through that one. Yeah, this one we don't look at managing experience multipliers too much, but there's definitely some of the Cold Steel games where we do actually care about getting different experience multipliers in some early fights, kind of when we need to get those levels to hit either craft breakpoints or for breakpoints for mech fights.
Well, usually landing double like kill is like beneficial like time save wise and like XP wise too.
Oh, true, yeah. Alright, we have another section of the dungeon here to run through, so we're doing that. Billy, question from chat. Who's your favorite Trails character?
I guess a lot, honestly. Laura for this game, I guess Laura.
Laura, yeah. It is a hard question. There is a lot of... All the characters are really well done in this. There's a lot of really, really great characters, so... If you want a fun Scooby-Doo gang to run around with, check out the Trails games. There's a lot of fun people here. So running through this, there's various switches we need to hit. Again, we still care about items, particularly we're picking up just consumables. We'll need those to get through these fights, as you can kind of, well, it's maybe hard to see Billy turbo through everything. We have to Zerum Powder, Zerum Capsule, get our craft points back in all these fights to keep launching out our S-Crafts. So he's actually chewing through all the resources we've been building up to this final dungeon pretty quickly. And so those numbers might be starting to get pretty low, depending on exactly what's been happening in each of these fights. Instructor Sarah, how appropriate, notes, yeah, there's over 500 characters to choose from. There's so many characters in these games, so there's a lot of ones to have as favorites. Okay, we have to bring in Elisa and Eustace into this fight, so that's why they start here in the party. But fortunately, he went first, so we get her into concealed mode, and then launches some S-Crafts with Noble Rise. Guy is pushing everyone down in turn order, which is good. One of these guys does a very, very scary attack, so even if we didn't get Noble Rise out, you still just want to have Gaius push them down in turn order. It's too scary otherwise. We get Reen swapped in here into demon mode. We do need, there's a lot of HP, so we need that little bit of extra damage. And then otherwise swap Laura in, and yeah, from here on we're kind of on normal path and clean up the fight. And we're into our next mech battle. Okay, so really critical thing there, we were just told we got the 1000 Force ability. We earned that for finishing our last Divine Knight battle. 1000 Force is an incredible ability. It's basically a Brave Order inside the mech combat. So on Reen's turn, he's able to do 1000 Force and give the entire team the strength buff and 3 turns of 20% damage. So before we were trying to line up our Unite attacks with the character who has a strength buff, we're now trying to, our main goal in these fights is getting Reen to have Brave points to 1000 Force and then do Unite attack to be able to just do the most damage. And then from there, all the characters will have the strength buff to be able to do a lot of damage. But basically we're juggling that. Similar type thing though otherwise is we want to push the character into phase 2 with a big powerful break attack. So you saw Billy attack there, but didn't follow up with the Unite. He was trying to control those damage numbers. for Crow there to push into phase 2 with the break, as well as the turn order and control here. We'll go ahead and rebuild our break points. Get ourselves back up to 7. 7 is the magic number here of break points, which is the max gauge. 2 goes towards the 1000 force. 5 goes towards the unite attack. And if we line these things up, our damage numbers are coming really, really high, and we're able to very quickly push this enemy out of his enhanced phase quite safely, and then we just clean up from there, doing a ton of damage with everyone. So yeah, 1000 force is huge. So thank goodness we have it, because the final mech fight is a handful.
Technically, after every mech fight, we do absorb some of the like abilities. Just usually the look. This is the first ability that we got.
Yeah, the other ones give you, I think, usually just little stat boosts, which is useful. But yeah,
Valimar changes his appearance like every time, like a little.
Yeah,
I think in the finale fight, like he has the wings, but when you use the order, the wings disappear. because it gets overwritten by the order wing from Testarossa.
Oh, sure.
I wish they expand more of the brave orders in the mech fights, honestly.
Yeah, the mech fights are definitely a little bit simpler than the entire combat system. There's not much to do in those, so like really there is just this one brave order, and you only get it for just 2 of the final mech fights. It would have been a lot more interesting to have more things to dip into. Like you have all these partner characters who can do support abilities. It would have been also cool if they had their own brave orders to dip into, as well as it gives you more decision making around what to do with your brave points. Alright. Another boss fight coming up here. McBurn Part 2 or Part 3. I don't know how many times we fought him. Anyway, McBurn's back. Emma's forced into the party here, so we'll start with her in. But our goal, as usual, would be to kick her out of the party. So get our Noble Rise going. Launch out some S-Crafts. Guy is using his absolute delay, as usual, to push the boss down, which is great. He will not get that turn, because we can bring in Laura over Emma and spam out our items. What's the capsule count looking like? Are you good? Oh, 5. Wow, okay, yeah, we're good. Cool. So there is a treasure chest after this battle if we were low on capsules, but no, we have a ton of resources. So fights have been relatively nice, so we haven't had to burn through extra resources. We've gotten good on the dupes, so we've been getting extra items. Okay. He's entered his defense phase here. We need to do a special attack here with Reem. So Yuna actually gets to help again. We saw her do this way back in Act 1. She can accelerate the team. So we give Reem an extra turn here. Fee 2, so she can give us a Brave Soul to give our Brave points back up. But we have to summon out our mech to basically break through the shield and win the fight. But cleanly done. McBurn down.
I also skipped Millium's style lock right there 1 turn earlier, so that's why it's faster.
Yeah, that fight felt very, very fast here to get through. I was kind of shocked how quickly it was over. Alright, so here would be our opportunity if we need a little bit more resources to go the way to get them. We're looking good and healthy here, so Billy's just running right to the end. And we're going to be going into another small gauntlet fight here. We'll have to do 3 combats in a row, so we have our teams mainly set up here, so we'll be ready to go into that and do the damage that we'll need to get through those fights. So just again, as usual, swap emblem off for Minotauros, and that's what we'll need to get into this final battle. Or final set of battles. We have a few to get through. But yeah, we're getting really close to the end here. Alright, so Billy here's setting up 3 different teams here. So first team here, so enter here. Core of this team is Eustace, doing Noble Rise. Our team here is kind of a mix of damage, some physical, some magic. Noble Rise gives you stat boost to both magical and physical. So Elisa here doing magical damage is still able to hit hard, and then the rest of the physical characters piling on to push us into the next phase, which brings in the next team. Cool. Next team doesn't have Eustace, so we'll have to use some different brave over here. We'll use Sigma Operation from Machias to get our strength boost up. So now we have high strength. but we're also going to want the damage boost. So we now use Chaos Raven to overwrite that to give us our damage boost, and we'll launch our S-Creds. Fortunately, each of these teams only have to do 20% of the HP total, so they're a lot weaker than our main team, but that's fine. They only had to do a little bit of damage. We now get control over the main team, and we'll see our usual stuff. So we just throw out our strength boot there with Aura, get me into stealth mode, so the criticals are guaranteed, which we get a ton of damage. We have lots of capsules, so we can actually use the Zerum capsules instead of having to do the Kiss spell, which is a little slower. We have all these extra resources. Well, we can still do Kiss apparently. We have lots of resources. We have lots of ways to just clean up this fight, get through nice and quickly. And into the final mech battle. There'll be another battle after this, but this is the last mech battle. Very similar to what we did before. Reen is going to be our centerpiece here with this fight because we need to get the 1000 force order going. So get 7 brave points to Reen is what we're looking for. So you just saw Billy open the fight by throwing 3 brave stones to just build up all of his brave points. With that done, he's able to now launch attacks. I think that's a 3-star hit that we just got there. So fortunately, we did get the follow-up. That was good. And
Yep, that was free.
Yeah, 3-star. You can follow it up there with Crow, because he'll have the strength buff as well, but it's good to just get it with the MP done. Alright, getting a little bit of damage done here, and some healing. As we will just go ahead and build up towards our breakpoints again. Up. You can see Billy again kind of watching where HP totals are on the boss, so we can do the appropriate push into phase 2. Had to go for the 90% craft there due to the stance he was in, but there we go, we pushed into phase 2 with the break.
Oh, there goes.
There goes everyone.
Not exactly, but yeah.
Yeah. So that attack is going to happen. We can't really stop it. Very powerful. Fortunately, when we beat McBurn, he gave us a very, very useful consumable item, which just gives a full restore. Everyone's brought to full life. They also have brave points. Everything is fully down. So we just let that attack come out. We need Reen at full HP. He'll guarantee survive it. That's all we really need. We can defend with other people, but that's what we want to see. As long as we get that, we recover from that powerful attack, and we're back on the usual strategy. Get 7 brave points, 1000 force, attack. Great. We see the break here. That's from running up all the damage rolls appropriately. And now we're looking to clean up. Again, we want to have the strength buff on before we do any unite attack. And Billy's just launching powerful crafts out here because he kind of knows where he is on the HP total. He doesn't care much about the delay, just needs to get the damage piled on. And well done. Last mech fight, cleanly finished.
No ghost stones, thank God.
And no ghost stone. Ghost stones is when you attempt to use a brave stone and it doesn't go off. That's bad. That can really throw off your plans, as you can imagine. Although Billy's figured out how to get around those, maybe?
Yeah,
Avoided them this time. Alright, great. Cool. If we've mentioned it before, there's a lot of characters in this game, as you can see. So here we have everyone to choose from to build 3 different parties to get through this This is the actual final battle here. We're actually only going to build 2 teams, though. We actually only care about teams A and B. Team A here with Reen is going to be played in the main boss body, so the main part of this. This is what we have to kill to win. But it puts up a magical shield and a physical shield, so we can't actually hit it. So we use Team B here. When we kill this side of it, the physical shield will go away. So we've got a very powerful team set up here, who should be able to, using Blast Force, thank you Tita, take out this side pretty quickly here. So again, using the guest characters who have good stuff equipped to just get through that quickly. And now the physical shield is down, so we set up this team, our usual things, no more rise for some stat buffs and damage boost into demon mode. Get over to B to get her into stealth, so our damage is lined up. We have access to the 100% damage boost order, so we're doing a ton of damage here. And we're just clean to get through that. So with this, we have lots of Zerum capsules, or basically has infinite turns with absolute delay from guys and items. We're good. This fight's clean. Just get the damage out. And we should have it. Amazing. Okay, time does not actually stop until we hit the final screen here, but we're done with combat. We're just going through some cutscenes.
Time. Right here. Yeah, the run's finished.
Whew. Well done, Billy. Good work.
GG.
GG's.
GG's.
Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it. And that's all I gotta say. Anything else you want to say?
26 minutes underestimate.
Yeah, crushed this. Yeah, this Billy really well done on this fight. It was super good fights. Even ones that were throwing curveballs at you were handled really well. Billy was able to crush that estimate just because even when fights were going poorly, which they can in Nightmare, and when a fight goes poorly in Nightmare, death can come very quickly. Billy was able to recover from those and got through all of the fights very well. So able to just crush that estimate and just really well done. Otherwise, just big thanks for watching and big shout out. I see Izuyoi there in chat. Huge help to him. He's done a lot of the routing work as well for this game. That initial Nightmare route was created by him and just helping create and refine the route as well as just all the Trails community for Trails speedrunning community, just providing feedback and information on the game. Huge help to put together this route and let's do this run. And if you found this fun and looked interesting, come along and join us in the speedrunning community for Trails. We're happy to help you learn whatever game you're interested in.
It's also thanks to you, because when I saw you learning how to run this game, it made me want to learn how to run it too.
Happy to be some inspiration for that. It's a fun one. There's a lot of good ones. So yeah, if people think these look good, jump on in. It's a good time.